machine, it's obvious now that African IP in the superhero genre is monetizable. So that's the first thing. But beyond that is people like you and I who have been and are still fighting for us to be seen and heard in a world where we are the majority, but we have minority opportunities. And that fight, which had been long and strong, is now starting to bear fruit. Also, there's an increased appetite for Africans to consume African content. And the world is starting to understand us. The world is starting to appreciate us better. So all things I think right now are just right, for that, for the recipe, which is African narrative, telling African stories. I also think as Africans also, we're constantly striving to be better, and we want to change the false narrative that has been labeled. And I think we're doing a good job.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Just to piggyback off what you just mentioned, how can African creators, whether they're based in South Africa, Nigeria, Zim, how can they take advantage of this trend and position themselves to really make a name for themselves, like how you did?
I mean, the formula is pretty simple. So first things first, I think it's a mind shift, right? And I'll start from the very basics. The first thing is for the creatives to see themselves as people creating a product, with their passion, right? I'm an artist. I draw, I color. I created the first 6 books that Comexposed published to start the business myself. But it's so essential that for me that I looked at what I was doing as a business, and I started looking for the different aspects necessary to make it a product, right? And I think that's the very first step, where creatives start to think more business-like than more being more passionate. Don't get me wrong, the passion has to be there, but there has to be a business side of it. And the very first thing I did was I was looking for enablers. So I was looking for people who were good at certain things that I wasn't good at. I knew I was a creator, I had a vision, but I started looking for people who were good at marketing. I started looking for business advisors and things like that. So I think the first step is make sure that you have a good product, hone your skill. I feel like a lot of the times, a lot of my indigenous brothers and sisters, we're kind of okay we're kind of lower standards instead of striving for international standards. And that's the point. Africa is part of the international community. So when we say international standard, it includes Africa, meaning what is the best possible way to do something. So that's the very first thing. We need to make sure that our art, our expressions in creation would stand its own anywhere. So that's the first thing. Immediately after that, I would say look for representation. As creatives, we don't understand the concept of working. Let me not say we. A lot of people are waking up to the concept of allowing people who are good at what they do it. I think one of the pivotal moments for Comexposed Public was when we started looking for representation. Representation in media. We were looking for agents, we're looking for managers, and we were looking for those things with people who are good at an international level. So we're actually writing agencies. We're entertaining conversations from people who have done this before. We looked into, okay, who are the guys representing other medias, movie, film, music, and we started writing those people to say, okay, this is who we are. We need representation. We need you guys to come and help us enter that market. And that was the very next thing. And, I think one of the best things was we got a good agent early. I mean, we've gone through a couple of agents and we quickly spotted which agent wasn't good and which was not. We eventually ended up with one that was happy with an agency also that was internationally clean. And they kind of handheld us through the process of, entering major markets around the world. And we were receptive. I keep telling people that the richest people in the world, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they own a small percentage of their business now because they collaborated with a lot of people, either financially or even by, equity sale, so that they could get bigger and stronger. And I believe that creatives need to embrace that, where we don't try to do everything on our own. We're looking for representation. We create products to international standards without losing our identity, but still doing things that anybody in the world would appreciate based on its quality and standard. To make that help. Hi, Patience. Are you still there? Hello.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Jide. So
You're welcome.
just for we all know of Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. How can African comic book artists or African creators, how do we avoid making African versions of Spider-Man and Superman? How do we make our own authentic African superheroes without ripping off what we grew up on?
So I do feel like the concept of creating something that is totally and completely authentic is false, right? Because there's nothing new under the sun, right? Even if you go back to the concept of Spider-Man and Superman, the idea was gotten from somewhere. There are even theories that Western superheroes were fashioned after African gods. So there will always be inspiration. And I feel like really trying to be completely different will set you back. I feel like taking what works and then, putting your own unique spin of it. So what I'm trying to say is we shouldn't be afraid to be inspired, right? But we should.
Recording in progress.
We should put our own unique spin on it. That's my advice. Be inspired, and you don't have to be inspired by one thing. You could be inspired by everything. You could take a little bit of, the superheroes that we know, take a lot of, your cultural background, take a lot of your folk tales, and then put it into something that the world would look at. There's a question I keep asking people. If you look at Africa today, if you look at the way we live today, we're not the way Africans are portrayed in fiction these days, right? So my question is, are you telling, historical stories, or are you telling Africa today? Now, if you're telling Africa today, it doesn't make sense for someone to be fighting a lion in the middle of the city, is it? Right? Or for people to be working about, half clothed. That's not the Africa of today, at least in most city centers, right? If you're telling a story that's based on a city center, you will tell a story that's based on a city center using the standard tropes that I used to tell that story, but make it
Recording in progress.
Make it about Lagos or any of the don't be shy because this story has been told before. Tell the story and then make it unique. But of course, there is the room of tapping into our cultural history, tapping into our folk tales, our
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
Please go on.
So, in your opinion, as a well-versed businessman in the animation industry and the comic book industry, what are some successful adaptations from comics to animation or live action films that have happened?
There are lots of them. There are a lot of them. I don't know if you can put in context, are you saying in Africa, around the world completely? I mean,
Hello, Jide, can you hear me?
yes, I can. Can you hear
Hello,
me?
hello, Jide.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Tick.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hey, guys.
I can hear you on my end.
Jide, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Please
Yes, I
confirm.
can.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Can you
Yes,
hear
I
me? Sorry, I didn't
yeah.
quite catch that. Can you hear me? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Can you hear me? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Awesome. I didn't quite catch that. Right. Okay. So I was asking, since you're very well versed in the animation community, in the comic community, in your own opinion, whether it's fan related or not, what are some successful adaptations of comics to animation or to live action?
Nothing beats the MCU at the moment. I would also say the Arcane series on the I can go on. There's so many.
Yep. Arcane was pretty dope in my opinion. One of my favorites.
Yeah, there are a lot. I can go on.
So for someone who is a comic book storyboard artist and they write stories for comics, and for someone who's in film school and they write scripts for, TV dramas and such, whenever they come together, they always seem to butt heads because they can't agree. What do you think the difference is between comic storytelling and TV storytelling?
Oh, I do feel like there's a big difference, right? Because they're two different mediums. There are certain things that achieve both from a financial and storytelling perspective when you're recording people. But there's also the aspect of when you're doing narrative arcs. So both have their advantages and disadvantages. And I do feel anybody that's writing for comic books thinking they can write for film will be greatly mistaken, right? You have to write the scripts, for example, explaining how they should express themselves. So you're telling an actor you should frown this way, you should show this type of emotion and stuff like that. But for a comic book, right, you're going on this panel, right? Do this, do this, do that. So there's a huge difference simply because the medium is different, and hence it requires different techniques, even in writing, to be able to successfully accomplish.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And since we're on the topic of comic storytelling, how do you balance between adaptation and preserving the original spirit of the comic? So you have some comic books that are very gory and very bloody. Like, for example, here in Zim, we have, if I'm not mistaken, it's Paradox by T.S. Zombie. It's more of the horror genre. If that is to get adapted into maybe an animation or a TV film, how is it possible for the artist to properly make sure that the original spirit of the original comic is kept and it's not washed?
So if you ask me, I think the first thing you make sure that you're working with
Sorry, Jide, you are mute. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hey guys, can you
Hello,
hear me now?
Jide, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Jide, you seem to be mute. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. What was your question again? Okay, so how do you make sure that your
So
adaptation?
the question was, how do you balance between adaptation and preserving the original spirit of the comic? Spirit of the comic.
So first things first, I do feel like getting the right showrunner, getting the right showrunner, the right production. Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much. Yes, I can. Thank you so much. Yes, I can.
So getting the right showrunner is key. Also ensuring the original creator is an executive producer. And the original creator is lockstep and key generation process.
All right. And the last question we have for you, Mr. Jide, before we open it up to the floor, would you mind telling us about some of the work you're doing with CR Motion Plus and how you're adapting comics into animated films and series?
All right, so with CR Motion Plus, we are creating what we're calling transmedia. And what do we mean by that? Where we create a platform where a creator can come with one IP, and then we make it into comics, animation, and games. And we create a pipeline for it. And with one platform, CR Motion Plus in collaboration with Comic Republic, you'll be able to get your comics, you'll be able to get your animation, and then you'll be able to get games based on that one IP. Leveraging on Comic Republic's success so far with IPs that we have created over the past 10 years, we strongly believe that now converting them to animation and games are the very next step. And we're going to replicate that, pattern or prototype with other IPs. We're presently working on a couple of games. One of them is one of the ones we're pretty excited about, two actually at the moment, Hero Gen Underground, where we're taking our IPs, our Hero Gen franchise, and then we're putting it into a combat street fighter type kind of game, where you go through the city and at some point you take on the big bad head on from time to time. The second one is working with Voodoo Games, who are who is like a sister company to us because it's run by Toby, who is the creative director at Comic Republic and also the head of our gaming department. And so Voodoo Game is a space opera, where we have the space ranger who is also a bounty hunter, going after the bad guys. That aside, we have a couple of games. So there's a game from Austria called Phantom Galaxies that we're adapting into a comic book and an animation. We're also working on Garden Prime. We're working on a short animation that will be releasing pretty soon. And then a number of other, very interesting animations, e.g. we're working on what we are calling Africa's first anime, where you see African pirates piloting mechas. And we're actually holding a watch party, cinema style, in Lagos on 22nd of November, where we'll be showcasing a lot of the animations that we are creating at the moment. So if you're in Lagos, please drop by, send us a mail, and we'll let you know when and where.
Awesome. I know I did say that I have one last question. However, I do have one more question. So you were name dropping a lot of cool projects that you've been working on and that you've worked on. Where can we watch some of these things? Do we have, because we don't want to pirate, you know what I mean? We want to be able to subscribe, just like as much as we subscribe to Crunchyroll and Netflix. We want to be able to subscribe to some of the animation and the work that you guys have been doing. And yeah, like where can we follow your work? Where can we keep up to date besides Instagram and socials, obviously? But where can we actually sit and watch and have watch parties and binge on the work that you guys have done?
Thank you very much for asking that question. Okay, if you can hear me, please put the CR Motion Plus site. So we have a platform, and that's one of the things we're creating with CR Motion Plus, where it's going to be the first platform that's dedicated to Afro anime and Afro animations altogether, right? And so if you go to CR Motion Plus, so that's CRMOTION Motion plus PLS.com. Even now, you'll be able to watch the animated series as they come out. Right now, we have, I think the one thing you can do now is watch the show reels of the animations that are about to come out. And then also you can download one of the games, the prototype of one of the games right now, if you're using a Windows PC. So it's crmotion.com. Please, could you help me put it in the chat box for people to be able to access it? Again, we want to create a platform. I want to create capacity for African animation, and you'll be able to find anything, and it'll be dedicated to just African animation or any kind of animation that is led by an African protagonist. You'll find it on CR Motion Plus.
Awesome. I think people this side are actually looking up because we are powered by telco and they're generous enough to give us some lovely, lovely Wi-Fi. So yeah, definitely. So I'll just put it in the chat box. So for people on the floor, that's CR Motion Plus. There you'll
Yes.
be able to see animations. If you've got a Windows PC, you should be able to play some games as well. Gita Martin, thank you so much. Right now, I am going to open the floor to some questions. Do we have anyone with questions for Mr. Gita Martin before he leaves us? Right, we've got a question for you.
Hi, Jide. I just wanted to ask what model you use to for the royalties for the artists whose work you publish. What kind of structure are you working with?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So Comic Public especially is creator-led, but we only publish IP that is owned by Comic Republic. What does that mean? Anything that you see us publish is already owned, meaning we pick up the bill, we sort out, the financial implications of creating it. But we do a profit share of 45-55%. So it's owned by Comic Republic. The royalty share will be 45% of the profit that comes in, 55 to Comic Republic. I don't know if that answers your question.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Jide. Does anyone else have any other questions for Mr. Martin? Going once, going twice. Jide, thank you so much for your patience and thank you so much for dropping some knowledge. And I'm sure by the end of the day, you're going to see a spike on your Instagrams for CR Motion Plus and a lot of traffic on your website.
Thank you very
so
much.
much for, we will definitely be in touch.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Right. So our second panel of the day is going to be led by Nyari from Right, so apologies. So we're actually going to our fourth panel right now, which is going to be our second panel, which is funding for creatives in the digital spaces with Rudonya Lungu Mungofa and Keith Kuhuzai. They will discuss innovative strategies and funding opportunities in Zimbabwe. So if you're a creative and you're an artist and you wish to avoid the typical stereotype of being a broke artist, I do suggest that you pay attention to this panel. Please listen carefully. Whilst we're waiting for them to come up, does anyone know who our previous speaker was? I've got some goodies I'd like to give away. Going once, going twice. Yes? Dude at the back. Who was our speaker?
Our last speaker was Jide Martin from CR Motion.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you, my sir, have won yourself a really, really cool t-shirt. Yeah. So next time I ask a question, you guys better pay attention, eh? All right. So over here we've got our second panelist, Keith Kuhudzai, is going to be coming up right now. So please do pay attention. I'm going to be asking questions later on. Thank you so much. Please give him a warm welcome. Thank you. Great.
Hello,
Hello, Keith. How are
Good.
you?
where's my co?
I thought you supposed, where's Rudo? Where is she? Rudo? Rudo, are you here? Are you here with us? Oh dear.
Okay, we can continue.
All right, we can start. So, Keith, please, can you give us a brief bio about yourself?
I'm a creative. Well, I like to believe I am. A creative who's transitioned into creative administration, if you'd like. So right now, I'm the managing director at K Media Africa, which is the home of Comexposed. And basically, what I do is manage projects, making sure that everything comes together, finding finances, which is why I'm on this panel, to fund projects and run different projects and manage projects, basically.
I'm sure a lot of people actually want to know what these projects are because they just heard the magic word funding. What kind of projects are these?
So we run different projects. One of them being Comexposed Converge is a project, which is a convention which you're all here for. We also run incubation projects such as Scripts and Bars, if you've ever heard of it, which is a music and literature incubation program where we develop creatives from the music and literature sectors, showing them how they can actually create a pathway to success. How do they actually make money from their craft?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So whilst we're waiting for Rudo to come in, I'm just gonna start because I'm sure you're the funding guy, you're the money guy. So
That's
we're
what
just-
they say.
All right, fantastic. So you did mention that the Scripts and Bars and Comexposed. Scripts and Bars sounds oddly familiar. Are you the guys responsible for Ryan Synth?
Absolutely.
All right, okay, cool. If you don't know who Ryan Synth is, you need to go outside a little bit more. He's one of the best DJs that Zim has to offer, as well as I think Kudar Wizi was part of Scripts and Bars and Comexposed Converge. He worked on an animation, I think, called Mutupo.
Yes.
Yes. So you guys funded that as well.
Yes.
Fantastic. I'm going to talk to you later on. I do have a little bit of a story myself, but I'd like some funding. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our other speaker, Miss Rudo. Hello.
Hello.
Right. So Ms. Rudo has over 15 years of experience in business and law, serving as a legal advisor, business coach, and researcher in both private and development sectors. She founded Stimulus Africa, a research and design initiative in Harare focused on enterprise, innovation, and creative economy. As a registered legal practitioner with V.S. Nyangulu and Associates, Rudo provides legal services to the creative and cultural industries across Southern Africa. I know I just gave you an introduction, but please, in your own words, tell the people who you are.
I think you did a good job.
Thank you so much. All right, so I do know that a lot of creatives do have some challenges with copyright and infringement. Those creatives, do they need to pay attention to this panel, to this discussion that we're about to embark on? Or can they just continue doing what they're doing, playing on their phones and stuff?
Well, I think we're talking about funding, but they do need to pay attention to their IP.
Fantastic. Okay. Right. So, Keith, I do believe this question will probably be for you as well. Can you please explain the process of applying for different funding sources?
Okay, so different funders have a unique way of a unique application process, so to say. So you have to pay attention to who you are applying for funding from. So a number of them will release an open call. And on the open call, there'll be criteria, there'll be a list and a process that you need to go through. Usually it's an online form, which is quite simple to fill in. Some can be complex. So you have to really pay attention and to the explanation and the instructions that are on each open call. Others have what we call closed open calls, where they will invite people directly, and they'll give you the requirements, whether you submit on a portal or you submit to an email. So it's all about whatever the funder, the method the funder uses to communicate how they want people to apply for funding. But they have different processes, and once you apply for funding, they'll tell you the criteria, and they will let you know what the next processes are, how they are going to select the people who are successful. And usually they have guidelines. They'll tell you things that they're looking for. If there's a specific theme that they want to come through from each project that they're going to fund, they'll specify that. And you have to pay attention to those things, because if your application doesn't adhere to the theme or the things they're looking for, you're not going to be shortlisted or selected for funding.
All right. And the next question is, what makes a good funding proposal? Exactly, as a funder, what are you guys looking for? And what should one include and exclude whenever they're applying for a fund?
Zafarudo.
Farudo, please.
I would say it depends on what the funder is looking for. So a lot of the times you'll find that somebody will apply for funding based on the project they have or the vision they have, but they don't, take time to understand what the fund managers or the call is actually asking for. So really maybe tailoring what you're trying to do to fit in with what is being asked for is the first step. If you are not really great at writing and there isn't a restriction on video or images, put all of that stuff in. If they tell you don't, obviously don't, they won't look at it. But if there isn't a restriction, it can't hurt to put your best foot forward. What also helps is if you are trying to get an existing project funded, being able to demonstrate how you are co-financing your project can actually motivate someone to invest in you as well. Because if you can show that how much you've already invested yourself in your project or your enterprise, it demonstrates your commitment, and people reciprocate to that sort of, effort and contribution, rather than it being, I have a concept and once someone gives me money, I will do it.
Awesome, fantastic. All right. So in terms of like applying for funds and everything, what are some of the common mistakes creatives make whenever they're applying, and how do they avoid them?
I think I'll start and then Rudo can chime in. One of the most common mistakes, of which, it can be, we've actually experienced a few of these, is not reading the instructions. Because the first elimination process is, have you read the instructions? Is your application submitted correctly? So you'll find people have missing information, they haven't filled in certain things, or they filled in the wrong things in the wrong places, they haven't submitted everything that was asked of them. So at that process, your application is already disqualified. No matter how good your project is, if you don't read the instructions and you haven't submitted your proposal in the way the funder or the application core instructed you to do, then that's detrimental to your application. So that's one of the most common mistakes. I mean, for one of our programs, Scripts and Bars, I think 1/3 of the applications were disqualified because of that already. And then you find some young man a few months later saying, hey, I applied and I never got in, but my music is so good. And then they play you the music, they show you the project, like, oh, this is wonderful. But you didn't apply correctly. You didn't submit A, B, C, D, or you forgot this. And yeah, that's that. So that is a critical point. And another common mistake is not being clear. A lot of people are not really clear in exactly either what they want the money for or who's going to benefit from the project, who's going to be impacted by the project. They like to focus on the technical details of the project, to say it's going to be a 4K movie, and they'll describe the technical details and they'll describe the actor and the actress and whatever it is. But what the funder wants to know usually is, how is this going to be, how is it going to meet the project objectives, which could be impact, it could be revenue, or whatever it is. And a lot of people don't clearly articulate those things. How is it going to make an impact? How is it going to achieve its objectives? I think Bruno can chime in with a few.
Sure, common mistakes. I would say maybe not profiling their team well. For sort of film, animation, you have technical skill competence within your team. Some have even won awards, done really great things, have qualifications, but if that's not presented well, to say this is actually the team behind the project, it can leave a application assessor wondering if you have the competence to deliver. I think asking for $2 million is always never great. And what I mean by that is, if you have an idea that you haven't tested, you've not invested in, you've done nothing, the first thing you do is not ask for a Disney movie level budget. You start by saying, hey, you know what, I'd like to pilot a 3-minute X, and I reckon I could do that for 10, 15,000. That brings proof of concept that will enable you to then raise the bigger ticket. So often, you know, creatives come in with really big, grand asks without really substantiating that there's even a proof of concept. Being able to break down a budget is also really important. If you need a lot of money, the people you're asking for money from need to have confidence that you've validated your budget. The money that you're asking for is realistic. It's enough as well that if they give it to you, the project will be complete. If you make an application for a fund that has 20,000 grants and you need 50,000, you're not going to get it, because as a fund manager, I would look at that and say, well, if I give you 20, you're not going to finish the project because you're still 30 short. So even though your project is brilliant, I'm still not going to fund you. So there are things like that, that it's really just taking, as Keith said, take cognizant of what is being asked for, what are the budget limits, you know, how much can you get from that particular funder? And in a lot of instances, it's not worth the work to go for a small fund if you know you need a lot, or if you can't tailor your project to work within the budget that they have. And I think the last mistake would be not following the application process from a timeline perspective. Some people lose out just because they don't apply on time. I think VCC this year, we saw 10 really good applicants miss out in the second round of screening just because they didn't respond on time with the additional information that was asked for. So they didn't check their email, or they weren't available when the screening or the assessors went back and said, hey, we've shortlisted you, but we need more information. So, you know, if you apply for something, check your email, it helps.
Awesome, awesome. So guys, please do check your email from time to time, just to make sure if you would have applied for something, you would have gotten a response. Okay, so in terms of networking and building relationships, how important is it to network within the creative community and potential funders for unlocking funding opportunities?
I think it's quite important, because that's how most of these opportunities come in. I mean, sure, you will get opportunities online, find open calls on Facebook, but that's also another route of networking, social networking. So you need to be able to follow the right accounts, have access to the right platforms that are publishing these open calls. But I think it's usually better to have personal relationships with some of these funders. So getting yourself into spaces where you can meet and talk and have discussions and network and dialogue with these people. Get yourselves familiar with these people, and you need to find out what kind of events. For example, here at Converge, we have people like Rudo available. We have Telco here. We have a number of brands and a number of funders. British Council will be here as well. So this is a great event where you can get to meet different people and get to know who they are and where they're from. And from conversing with them, you get to pick up certain conversations about the programs they're running, the opportunities that are available. So it's finding the right spaces to plug yourself and be able to network. So it's really crucial because it opens up opportunities for you.
Yeah, no, I agree with Keith. And I think it's to remember that whatever you're doing, you're part of a value chain. So there's a sector or an industry around your talent or your skill. So understanding where you fit in helps you identify the places where you need to network, plug in. So if the kind of work you do, for example, has an audience or a market in advertising, then participate in whatever the advertisers do. If there's an association, join it, be part of it, know what's going on. And then when work opportunities come up, often those are the environments or the networks where that information is shared. So it is important to just be aware of, how you add value, contribute, your positioning in the industry or in the market that you're working in, so that you can create those connections that can open doors.
Awesome. Interesting you should say that about how you should go to areas that you are familiar with. For example, Keith, you mentioned Converge. We've got a lot of people outside in the artist alley who are artists and they're like anime, and they happen to be here. And we've got people from VCC, Scripts and Bars, and BC who are here as well. What tips would you give the people outside or the people inside? How do they approach funders? Whether they approach them online or in person? Do they just walk up and say, "Hi, I want money," or do they, is there a more diplomatic manner? How, as a funder, what would you like? How would you like someone to approach you? I think I'll start with you, Rudo.
Well, I tell you, my email blows up whenever a fund is announced or any kind of opportunity with people I don't know who are like, "Hey, I want to meet you." And there's nothing wrong with that in principle, but people do business with people they like at the end of the day. And the only way we can like you is if we get to know you. So if we meet at events like this, we have a conversation, get contact details, ask if you can get in touch, maybe share some of your information via email or whatever the case may be. Having a QR code to your link tree that they can scan means that when you reach out digitally, they have an idea of who you are. So they're like, "Oh, that's that girl I met at X." So that then helps in opening a conversation. Never start by asking for money. People don't give money to people who ask them for money, but they give money and support to people they like. So build relationships, and that will get you where you want to go. The alternative is obviously looking out for an open call where they want you to ask them for money, and then you respond to that.
Thank you. Keith?
I think she's nailed it.
Okay, so just don't be outright with it. Beat around the bush. Don't ask for money straight away. Okay, so in terms of preparing for the pitch, right? What are some of the essentials for preparing for a pitch? Let's say I've applied for a fund, I've applied for a grant, or I've applied for a call, and I got in, but then there's another stage. I have to wow them. And let's say I am a socially anxious person, or I am shy to speak in front of people. How do I nail a pitch properly?
I'll go first. Keep it simple. Don't try be somebody else who you're not, especially if you're already nervous and you've got anxiety. The best thing is to be yourself. Don't try imitate what you've seen on Dragon's Den or anyone else doing. Keep it simple, making sure that you're clear, your points are coming across clearly, because that's what matters. It's not about yes, it can have an advantage, but it's not really about your charisma and showmanship or whatever. They want to know the details. What are you saying? What's this project about? Do you understand the project? What are the goals? How much money do you want? Every single detail has to come out clearly. So even if you speak a little bit softly, you want to be loud and clear, obviously, but making sure that they can hear what you're saying and it's not bloated with flowery words. Just keep it straight to the point and just be yourself.
Thank you. Rudo?
An example maybe is a designer who was due to pitch for a competition, and she was petrified. She couldn't speak at all. It was really hard. So for her, I told her, you know what? Call up some of your clients, ask them to model for you, and let your work speak for you. So if your pitch is in person and you really are not keen or you're not really good at speaking, you can do a presentation, bring your product, your idea with you. You know, a really good pitch deck that has the numbers there also helps. So you're not having to try and memorize and remember everything that you want to say, but a well thought out pitch deck that has, you know, a clear flow that gives clarity in terms of who your team is, what you're trying to do, what your competition is, which market are you playing in, what success have you had, you know, what is it going to take to get you to the next level in terms of numbers, and how are you going to, you know, make lemonade, basically. How are you going to make that work for you? So if you're able to clearly articulate that both in terms of visually and with the numbers, and use as many aids as you can, I don't think there is a restriction. That's probably a good way to sort of help you not then focus on the people in front of you, but more focus on what you're trying to put forward.
Fantastic. You did mention that the fashion designer, you advised her to show her work. So in a way, by bringing in her clients, that was a form of collaboration. So how can collaborations with other creatives or businesses enhance funding projects?
So in the right context, I think collaboration can work. Last year, I did a research study on the creative ecosystems and productivity, and how collectives can work together to raise money, but not just raise money, pool their own resources to be able to self-fund and push things forward, or collaborate to provide a bigger client with all the skills they need or the services to be able to make money. And in collectives where there's trust, where there's credibility, where the individuals in that group have the same values, have the same ethos, and are working to a similar standard with a similar vision, it does work, because each individually can stand on their own and contribute a brand strength from what they've been doing already. So when you bring them together collectively, even the amount of money they can raise is a lot more. So in that scenario, it does work, but there must be that foundation of trust and common values in order for something like that to work.
Some fantastic. Keith, do you want to add on to what Rhoda said, or she nailed it?
Yeah, I think collaboration definitely enhances your capacity, so to say, to deliver a project. Starting from the application process, you have different ideas. We've collaborated with other partners in applying for funds, and you find that the collaboration process, there are certain things that your collaboration partners will see that you don't see, and they'll throw in, and you're like, oh, that actually enhances the quality and the quality of our proposal. There's certain things that they'll see you won't see from a different angle. So it increases your capacity, right? Starting from the application process. And also when you apply, I think from a funder's perspective, you're seeing the competencies that are represented in that collaboration. The funder is going to see greater capacity and most likely select that project based on that these people look like they're able to deliver this and have a greater impact than just a solo applicant.
Awesome, fantastic. Right, so this time we're just gonna open the floor to some questions. Does anyone have any questions for our funders right here? All right, Paul, please, could you? Thank you.
This question is for Keith. So people don't go to school for, we don't get taught how to do our taxes and fill out applications while we're at school. You pointed out that, there's some information that you find is missing, whereas many as 30% are, don't even qualify because they didn't fill out an application correctly. Where does one go to get those resources? Because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of first-timers who are trying to get into some sort of program and then they're disqualified over a piece of paper.
Great question. So for starters, coming to places like this, Converge, attending like workshops, masterclasses, and that sort of thing does help because a lot of these cover some of these things. But another thing is that, and a trend that I'm noticing with a number of funders is that they do actually have Q&A sessions before the application is closed. So look out for those. So the first thing is first to read the application processing carefully and look out for where they say they're going to have a Q&A session to answer questions or to go through the guidelines, because those are very valuable sessions. I've attended a few myself and they highlighted certain things that I wouldn't have picked up from the application form. So a number of these actually have sessions where they educate you about how to actually complete the application process and actually give you an opportunity to ask questions and they'll answer you.
I'm not key, but if I can also just add to what he said, which is all very true. We at Stimulus, we typically teach people how to do their financials. We haven't run an incubator or a fund that disqualifies you because you don't understand the numbers. What you just need to demonstrate is that you have a rough idea of what it's going to take. And if you're then shortlisted, you get training on how to perfect your proposal as well as work out your numbers, work through them, so that by the time you go to the final stage of selection, you actually have had support to do that. So we do that as a standard for the funds we run or the incubators and accelerators. So also look out for opportunities like that where you can learn. We also worked with the Zimbabwe German Society and actually set up an incubator that they run that completely focuses on teaching creatives how to write proposals, how to manage projects, how to prepare financials and account for money. It's called DAS Collective. When they open their call next year, please apply for that because the purpose of that platform is to teach you how to do that. So look for opportunities like that as well.
Awesome, fantastic. Saul, I think you had a question?
Yes, I've got two questions. I think the first one is kind of directed at Keith, the second one at Trudeau. So the first one is when I think Comexposed has done it pretty successfully, where you've been able to get, I guess, some kind of balance between the creative work that the artists can do and what someone might be funding would be looking for. How do you find that balance? And then on the second question, it's about IP. When you go and apply for these grants and so on, how do you as an individual creative protect what you might consider as your baby when you need to go out there and say, okay, this is my baby, I want money for it. How do you protect that IP? Yes, and I think that's Turudo.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch the first one. You said balance between
Finding the balance between what, say, a funder or an open call is requiring and the creative ability that an artist has. Because you'll find, let's say, and there's a call for an environmental project, but you've never produced anything environmental, but you've got the skills to do that. Where's the balance and how do you, I guess, keep your IP and your creativity going while still maybe being able to fill into these pitch calls?
Great question. That's a difficult one, which we found difficult ourselves. So you do find that there's usually that gap, especially when you're a pure creative, so to say. And there are these other themes and requirements that the funders are looking for, and you're kind of looking at, okay, does my project or does my art kind of reflect things like climate change or whatever it is? One of the things that we did a project that wanted us to focus on climate change, and we wanted to produce a comic book. So one of the things was engaging a collaborative partner who's strong in that area and having them be sort of like a resource that informs the creative in how they can collaborate or how they can infuse climate change themes within the project. So usually as a creative, you might find it hard yourself. So finding someone, an expert who you can collaborate with that can bring in that expertise, that can make your application stronger, that makes your project stronger.
Okay, for IP, so it can be difficult. A lot of good funders will not take your IP if it's a grant or a developmental or that type of arrangement. The good ones don't. They respect an artist's IP and they won't try and take it. So look out for those. When it comes to a transaction, commercial transaction, you have to read your contract. If the contract says IP passes upon signing for payment, then IP passes regardless of what you may try and do by way of protection. If you enter into a legal agreement with another party willingly on terms that you sign up for, then you are bound by that. So make sure that if you're going to sign a contract, have a lawyer read it, get the advice so you know what you're signing up for, what you're giving up, and see if it's worth what you're getting. Generally for creators, I always say that you need to almost find a way to split yourself into two in terms of your creative passion work and your commercial money work. There's an element of commercial money work where you have to give away the IP. And, you know, whether you're a techie who's selling white labeled, you know, solutions, or you're commissioned to do some kind of graphic work or whatever it is, the person who commissions you typically does own the IP. That's what they're paying for. So when you do projects like that, don't take your baby to work, if that helps. Leave your baby at home, give them what they're paying for, create something for them specifically for what they need that you can leave on the table and walk away. But definitely then the things that are core to your creative enterprise or you as an artist, protect those, have your trademarks done, whatever it is, if it's a utility model, copyright, just ensure that you've protected it. Then you can license it to someone who may want to use it for a time. In another life, I'm a photographer, and I licensed a photograph of Joyner City for a calendar for GIZ a few years back. And I sold them a 1-year license to use that photograph. After that 1 year, they were not able to use it again. And they paid me for use of that photograph and print for the calendar for that year, their global calendar. So for Zimbabwe, that's the image they used. So you can license content that is yours, that you've created for a specific time. And if it's used after that, they're in breach and you can sue them. So that's another way that maybe if your baby is the product that has to go to market, you can limit how it's used and make sure you're paid for that use, but you retain the legal rights to it.
Awesome, fantastic. All right, guys, we are about to move to our next panel, but if you do have any other questions, please don't hesitate to approach Keith and Rudo in a very diplomatic manner. Don't just walk up and say, hey, give me money. But yeah, whilst they are taking their seats, I'm just gonna give away a couple of goodies. Who knows what the previous talk was about? I've got some really, really dope t-shirts and caps that I can't go home with. What? Nah, you can't, that's unfair, come on. Hello.
Hello. I'm fine. It was about adapting comics to animation and movies.
Do you guys agree? Oh, your hand is up. I think it was something else. Okay.
Was it not about how to apply for funding, how to get funding for your animation projects and the likes?
Okay, thank you. My question was, what was the previous talk about? So he's actually right, but just for good measure, you're gonna get something as well. So what's your favorite color, my dude? Blue, red, white, black? No, between the three, blue, red, white. So navy blue, white, great, awesome. Okay, guys. Oh, wait, you said black. Lucky you, lucky you, lucky you. All right, so I have some really, really cool t-shirts. This is a Narini t-shirt. It is a comic book that was done and sponsored by sponsor of the day, Telco Broadband and Beyond. If you don't know what it's about, please do take a look at the panels that are there at the back. You can just go outside at the first table and buy the magazine. Right, so our next panelists, we have, sorry? Yeah, you're free to go, I dismissed you a long time ago. Thank you so much. Please do give Keith and Ruda a warm. Oh, wait. Sorry, hold the thought. Yes.
I have a question. Is that okay? Is there anyone in the room who actually has a very good, viable, that you have verified project that you're trying to fund? Like viable, yeah? You've done your numbers? Yeah? How many? Okay, great. So we have a fund
Sorry,
that's
Rudo.
gonna
Guys,
be-
this is your opportunity, guys. Don't be shy.
So Stimulus is managing the Swiss Arts and Culture Fund, which will be running over the next 4 years, and we'll be giving out grants to anyone for anything you want to do, no creative strings attached. It just needs to make sense, and you just need to apply when the call comes out. So I'll make sure that the Comexposed team get the information when the first call opens in the next, I think, a month or so. And it'd be great to see some of you coming through and some of your projects funded. So please look out for that.
Thank you so much. Now you can clap. Come on, guys. Come on. Don't be stingy with the claps. Awesome. Thank you so much, Rudo and Keith. We will just share the WhatsApp group for Comexposed so that when the call is out, you guys will be the first to know, and our Instagram as well. Or you can just follow our Instagram right now. I mean, you guys have free Wi-Fi sponsored by Telco. Thank you so much, Keith and Rudo. Our next speakers, well, this is an interesting topic. We have women in digital arts. Our first speaker is Shaku Shante. She is a DJ who blends genres like hip hop, Afro beats, and house. She's performing at clubs and events across Zimbabwe and beyond. She's a qualified sound engineer. She has shared stages with some of the top DJs, and she has also entertained VIPs at major festivals. If you were at Jacaranda last week, no, 2 weeks ago, you would have heard her. If you were at Carpe Diem, you would have heard her. She is committed to professionalism and excellence. Shaku Shante aims to build an international presence while positively impacting her audience. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And our second speaker is Mudiwa Kimberly Marasa. She is a Zimbabwean digital painter and visual artist known for her vibrant works and exploring identity, culture, and social justice. Her style blends traditional and contemporary techniques, featuring elements of abstract expressionism and surrealism and Afrofuturism. What you know about that? Mudiwa aims to spark conversations and celebrate African culture by showcasing her art in exhibitions both locally and internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, please give this dope women another round of applause before we kick starts. Awesome. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi. Hey, how are you guys?
We are good.
Great. I know I glazed you a lot. I just, gave a little introduction, but please, in your own words, this is your time to brag. No one is going to judge you for it. Please go off, queens.
Go ahead. Hi, guys. I'm Shaku Shante, an award-nominated DJ. I think Charlene did most of the introduction, so I'll just end there. But yes, I am a DJ.
Awesome. And Mudiwa?
Hi guys, my name is Mudia Marasa, and I am a visual artist, a digital artist, and my work has been exhibited both here in Zim and in the UK. And I'm just going to plug, shameless plug right here. I've got an exhibition on the 16th of November, so I expect to see you all there at the German Society. Okay.
Awesome. And what time is the exhibition starting?
It's starting at 9 till 5. So I hope you guys will be there on the 16th, so it's a Saturday.
Right, guys, please take out your phones, connect to the telco Wi-Fi, and follow these amazing women so that you can keep up with their events. Right, ladies, let's get to it. How much female representation is there in the field of digital arts? And what do you think can be done to increase female participation in the industry? For example, Shaku, you're a female DJ. It's a male-dominated space. How did you manage to just punch through and get to the top?
I think firstly, for a very long time, there weren't that many females in this industry. In creative spaces, generally, there weren't that many females, but now, as time is going on, we're starting to see more and more females coming in, more and more females actually dominating and, making their stand in creative spaces. For me, what helped was networking. I know it's something that's always been talked about, even in the previous panels, but networking actually helps. You meet someone today, you don't know who they are, you don't know how they could help you. things like that. You never know, you could actually find someone who will bring more people that support you in whatever you do. I think what we could do is teach more females. I have a few females who are under my wing right now who I'm helping. I'm not charging them anything. A lot of females, a lot of people try to learn from other people, but people want to charge them. So I think for me, I thought the person who taught me didn't charge me anything. So it's only right that I teach someone else without having to charge them anything, because sometimes maybe they just can't afford it. They want to do it, but they can't afford it. So I think that's one thing that can encourage more females to join creative spaces, is having someone to mentor them and teach them.
And Mudiwa, what's your take on this?
So it's the same thing in the arts industry. It's a male-dominated industry, and even coming up as a female, all the people that mentored me were male, and I realized that there's so many factors that go into why there are not so many women in the art industry. It goes down even to our culture. I grew up with a father who allowed me to do whatever I wanted to do. However, not many women have that freedom. And art is a very polarizing, not really polarizing, but it's a very specific industry that men usually succeed in this industry, because if you disappear for a few months, you're out of the game. And for women, women who want to start families, once you have a baby, there's going to be a chance you're going to disappear for a couple of months. When you come back, everything has changed. And so I've had to navigate that balance, that role of being an artist and being a mother. And it's really hard work. And a lot of artists drop off because of that. And they sacrifice their creativity because they are mothers first, they are wives first. And I believe that there is a balance. And if we strike that balance, we can teach more girls that you can have your career and you can have your family. And I think that's where the mentoring comes in. Without telling women that you can do this, girls actually, that you can do this, they won't know. So in order to have more female representation in our industry, we need more female mentors. So,
oh, guys, I don't know about you, but I was moved. You can have it all. You can be a wife, a mom, and a creative. That's really powerful, guys. Thank you so much for that. And to just piggyback off what you were saying about how narratives are constantly changing, as female artists in the digital space, how are you guys influencing cultural narratives and expanding the conversation? You mentioned your mentoring. You mentioned that you can have it all. What else can people do? How are you as Mudiwa and Shante just changing the narrative?
Firstly, we need to know who we are. You can't exactly influence other people when you don't know who you are as a person, when you don't know what you represent, the culture that you carry. So I think finding ourselves as, say, if you want to represent yourself as a Zimbabwean in the creative space, know which parts of, because our cultures, there are many cultures within Zimbabwe, but you need to know what exactly you're representing. If you want to be an artist that shares, say, you're a painter, you want to paint about Shona history, the Shona culture, you need to know your facts before you can influence other people. Because you'll find some people then, you're fine, you're doing fine in Zimbabwe, and then when you go out there, you start to dilute your work. Even like, I've seen this in the music industry where you've got an artist that does well in Zimbabwe, or in Africa. But once they go out there, they start to change, they start to dilute their work, and they sound more American than they do African. So I think you need to know what you represent first. You need to know who you are before you can influence other people.
Amazing, amazing. Mudiwa, would you like to hop on that as well?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because in like just in our industry too, you need to be unapologetically you. And you don't know what being yourself does for other people. And I realized that by sharing content on places like TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, that the things that I usually think about, and I think, oh, it's just in my head, it's just me who feels these things. Once I started sharing it on social media, I realized that one, I'm not alone and I'm not crazy. And two, some of the things I've actually overcome, I could help other people overcome these things. And one thing that I overcame quite recently actually is I used to just make art because it was I was just aesthetic. It looked good. But I had other feelings in the background, and I started drawing my feelings. And I realized that people were connecting more to these feelings. And I was encouraging a lot of women to come out with their stories. For example, the exhibition that I'm having on the 16th of November is all about sexual reproductive health rights. And a lot of people don't know what that is. That's basically conversations on sexual, on domestic violence, on child marriages, on teen pregnancies. And these issues affect us in one way or the other. So what does art have to do about it? I can use art to provoke some sort of conversation. When you look at my art is very loud, it's very bright, it's very provocative. I want you to look at it, stop, and then ask, why did you paint this? And I can tell you a story. So I feel like I'm losing the point.
Yeah. Yap away, please. But yeah, it's funny you should mention your art, the one that's happening in Zimbabwean German Society on the 16th of November from 9 to 5. What are some of the challenges that are faced by female artists? I know your work represents females as a whole, but as female artists, what are some of the challenges that are constantly faced?
The main challenge is not being able to tell our own stories. And I will give you a typical example. I hope I don't hurt anyone's feelings in here. There was an open call very recently this year, and it was on stories about menstruation. And the exhibition happened, the prizes were given out, and I kid you not, all the winners were male. So I really don't understand.
What do they know about menstruation?
That's the thing. And there are so many issues where women can't even tell their own stories because it is overrun, because it's a male-dominated industry. I don't understand how we have men telling a story of menstruation. Those are the challenges. We are overlooked. We are, no matter how much you keep pushing, because I believe that there is no door that won't open as long as you keep knocking, and you have to have the patience to keep knocking, because there's so many challenges you can go through.
all you have to do is be patient and keep knocking. But those are the challenges, honestly. The fact that it's such a male-dominated industry.
Oh. Shaku?
As she said, the issue of being overlooked. I think any female in any male-dominated industry, you usually get overlooked before you're given a chance. And when you are given a chance, there's that thought that she's not as good as the males. That's one thing we have to fight. But I feel like the more we push and the more we prove them wrong, the more opportunities we get, not only ourselves, but other females as well. Another challenge we get is being underpaid for doing the same amount of work as men do. For us, for some of us who actually are getting our worth now, we had to fight because you can do the same amount of work as a man, but you get way less. And that's something we had to keep pushing to get fixed in the creative space.
It's so hard being a woman, but you guys are living proof that no matter what challenges you face, just punch them in the face. So don't punch anyone, please. So has technology broken the barriers that existed before for women creatives? And if so, how? Like Mudiwa, you're an artist. You're a traditional and digital artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So how has technology broken the barriers for you?
So starting off COVID was when I saw my art really take, like people really look at my art. Because I wasn't posting pictures of myself. So no one knew that I was a woman. So technology helps put a mask. It's really bad, but it's good at the same time. So technology helps you put a mask on the fact that that you're female, and it showcases your work first. So the first thing someone sees is how good your art is before they know who you are, what your age is, where you come from. So one piece of advice I give anyone I'm mentoring, because I'm into art education at the same time, is if you don't have an Instagram page right now, open it. If you don't have a TikTok, let's set it up. Because you cannot wait until you are good enough. Start now, because you do not know where your opportunities come from. I started posting on my Facebook page in 2017. And I was shocked to see High Life Foundation looking for me. A year later, while I was still in university, and I didn't have to look for my attachment. They basically gave me my attachment position 6 months before I was due for attachment. And that was through Facebook, just posting whatever artworks I've created for the world to see. So technology is a big help. It is a very big help.
Even on my end, technology has been really good for us. We all saw this during COVID. Like a lot of people started popping up. We were all glued to our phones. We were all glued to our screens. That's where we started discovering these new people, these new talents. It really helps us because you're not only speaking to people in your vicinity, you're not only speaking to people in your country. There are international people who are watching, like Instagram Reels. You watch reels from people in India, you've never seen them, you've never been there, but you know what's happening in different places because we're constantly being updated through social media. I had a conversation with Oscar Mbo, he's a DJ and producer from South Africa. So I spoke to him when he came and I said, what can I do to like help me, boost myself? And he said, just use social media. It's something we overlook because we're like, it's just, posting, but you never know who's looking, you never know who's watching. You don't know where your next opportunity is going to come from. So if you're constantly updating, you're constantly posting, you never know, maybe someone is going to see that and be interested, and they'll reach out to you and give you an opportunity you never dreamt of. So technology is really good. Even in my industry, if I want to share my mixes, I can upload it online, YouTube, Spotify. There are people who are listening. There are people who are interested in whatever you're doing, especially in the creative space, whatever you do. There's always someone who wants to see your work. So it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter whether you have 5 followers, 10 followers, 1,000 followers. There's always someone who's waiting for your next, your next work. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Are there any local initiatives, workshops, and events aimed at fostering connections and support? I know you guys mentioned you mentor some other artists as well. How did you come about that? Like, did they just send you a message and say, hey, I'm a really big fan of your work and I'm also trying to get into that space. Can you help me out? Or were you at an event like this and then they approached you after? Or did you just put like an open call saying, you know what, I'm feeling generous. Come be my little minions. How did you go about that?
In terms of workshops, there aren't too many in the DJ workspace. I know they do have some, for artists, there's Jibilika. They often have workshops. I recently took part in a workshop through the US Embassy, Next Level, where we had some guys come through from the US. We had local DJs, rappers, dancers, beat makers. It was just a whole lot of creatives in the same space, but there aren't too many of that. And I feel like that's something we need to work on. We need to fix that. At least maybe every quarter, we have something where experienced people and new people can come together and share knowledge, teach each other. There aren't too many. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for our end, there is Matamba Labs. Matamba Labs, they have workshops. They also foster creativity in women. So that's visual arts, digital arts, animation, graphic design, gaming, virtual reality, augmented reality, and it's a female led organization. So that's Matamba Labs. And then on my personal mentorship, usually if I run into an artist that I feel, wow, this is potential, I can mold this, I approach them and we start a conversation. I offer my time. And I've actually recently registered my organization. It's called Gifted Hands Art Support. And we're just waiting on funding right now. But by next year, we should be up and running. And we'll be doing mentoring, not only for art, but just all the creative industries, all in all, so that more Zimbabwean creatives, not only female, but everyone, we need more to cover more ground internationally and nationally, locally.
Fantastic, fantastic. I'm sure you and Rulo will have some great conversations regarding funding and grants. All right, just one last question that I do have before we open the questions to the floor. Please, can you share some resources and local, you guys already mentioned, but besides Jibilika and Matamba, are there any other organizations that support female digital artists?
I know the US Embassy usually has these talks. They have organizations that people can join. So I would encourage people to, if you want to, you can talk to me. I can put you in touch with the people who facilitate these things. They have a group where they're constantly posting different talks, different things in the creative spaces for different groups of people, not just only females, males as well. So it's always good to look out for these things. I know British Council also has similar events and stuff like that. So I just encourage people to like keep your eye out. You never know where you're gonna find, you know, your next opportunity or the next place you can learn from. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Mudiwa?
Okay, so the German Society Dust Collective was mentioned in the previous conversation. That's actually the grant that I am under this year. So that's something to look forward to next year. I think they run the grants every year. And Culture Fund is another organization that has grants for artists. Actually, I think creatives all over the spectrum, as long as you have a cause that you are leaning to. But I've seen an array of different projects being funded by Culture Fund. So if you just go on Google, Culture Fund, I think they have a rolling grant that goes on yearly. So if you just search up Culture Fund, look through their website, there should be information on that.
So fantastic. And you guys really shouldn't have a problem with that, considering that we have been sponsored by Telco Broadband and beyond. We do have free Wi-Fi. So you can find the passwords here, there, everywhere outside. Do we have any questions for Shaku and Mudiwa? Paul, roaming mic, please.
Thank you very much, ladies. I have a question that I'm going to follow up with a statement. Both of you have obviously managed to build a career out of your craft. How young were you when you pretty much figured that this is the career path that you're going to choose?
I started learning how to DJ just after my A's. I was 18, so basically 18, 19. That's when I started. And at first it was just a hobby, I'm not gonna lie. It was just something fun to do. But as time went on, I think maybe about 2 years into it, that's when I decided, okay, this is actually gonna be my career.
So I was a parent's worst nightmare. I made my parents cry for a couple of years. So I realized I wanted to be an artist after, I think it was in Form 1, after my dad forgot me at school, forgot to pick me up because he had so much work to do in the office because my dad's an accountant. And I decided I don't want to work in an office. I want to do what I want to do, and I like to draw. So from then on, I started researching on how can I make money with my drawings. And obviously, you know, hey, my artist Marombe. You've heard that. I've heard that too many times. And because I am a very stubborn child, I made it my life's mission to make sure that my art will pave my way through my life. So starting from 19, I started making money through my art by doing commissions for people. So that was when I started my career with art.
Okay, I was hoping you would say that because my challenge to you is as you're mentoring the young ladies that you do, maybe start at high school level, show up for career days because these career days are filled with doctors, lawyers, accountants, and none of us are becoming that when we grow up. So I just wanted to throw out that challenge.
Do you accept the challenge?
Yes.
We do have another question over here and over there, and I think we'll have room for one more question. So here, and somewhere there.
Afternoon, everyone. I don't know if it's afternoon already. Okay, I got just a question for you girls about the mentorship programs that you're running, especially for young girls. You once said the art industry is like more of a men dominant industry and not females are not involved like most of the times. And I want to ask about the mentorship programs that you are doing. If you have the plan that you're executing in such areas like the rural areas and the like the ghetto areas, because most girls they fail before they reach the age of 18, and that's the most area where they can develop their skills, almost 50% of their skills, and that's when they decide who they want to be. And in terms of culture, that's where they can pick like the direction of culture. Like nowadays with this digital age that we're living in, there's more of this cultural cannibalism thing where other cultures can eat away other cultures. And as Africans, we are supposed to stand up and bloom around the world and share our culture. But in this case, we don't need men to do that. We need both of the genders to balance in this field. So what are you planning on doing in terms of those girls that are living in rural areas and other ghetto places, especially in their high school time?
So I feel like right now, instead of sharing my cake with you, I'm going to be sharing the ingredients because it's still a plan. Under my organization, Gifted Hands Art Support, we have workshops that are in proposal phases right now, where we will be taking these skills and teaching them for free to our mentees, mentees from the ages of 13 all the way up to 18. So with my background in teaching, I have been teaching in high schools. I think it's only been this year that I haven't been teaching in high school. So with my background teaching the levels from 13 up to 18, I realized that is the moldable stage. That is the time that we should catch these kids. And because art and digital art specifically is a very expensive hobby, I've been looking for funders who can fund the technology part so I can take graphic tablets and laptops and my knowledge to these kids and say, okay, this is a laptop, here's your graphic tablet. I'm going to teach you how to make money through your art by digitalizing everything and making products like stickers, comics, posters, illustrations for children's books. We're going to do this now because I don't think you need to be 18 and above to make money with your art. So that is the plan. We're just looking for funding at the moment.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. And we have another question from Fadi over there. Does anyone else have another question or is that it? Okay.
Afternoon. Thanks, Kim, thanks, Shante, for the talk. So before I ask my question, I'm going to ask Salim, can I get a t-shirt? And then I'll ask my question.
Banema t-shirt at Shakubai.
Thank you. My question is about artists' corporate relations. So how do you guys handle like negotiating with corporates? Because what I've seen and what I've experienced is that usually we're taught how to approach corporates as artists, and you're supposed to have A, B, C, and D. And then you approach like that, you get a contract, and then they don't pay you for 6 months. It seems like no one's talking to the corporates in regards to how to like reciprocate to the artists. So how have you guys navigated that space where it's like sometimes the corporates are like so unprofessional?
I'll start by saying, as an artist, as a creative in whatever industry you're in, it's important to have a management team. Why? You look more professional to the corporates, they take you more seriously when you've got someone else doing the negotiation for you. If you don't want to work with the manager, that's fine, but learn how to do your invoices, learn how to drop contracts. Before any work is delivered, make sure the contract is signed on both ends. And then when you deliver, make sure you get your money. Because when you have a contract in place, when you've got your invoices in place, if they refuse to pay you, you can pursue them legally. So before you do any work, before you give anyone anything, make sure you've got your contract in place, make sure it's been signed. A lot of contracts I've seen have, the corporates have to give you a deposit before you do anything. So it's very important that you go about it professionally. If you're going to take this as a career and as a profession, you need to also handle yourself professionally. So make sure you protect yourself. Either you have a manager who deals with all the paperwork or the nitty-gritties. If you don't want to work with anyone else, make sure you do your due diligence yourself, and you avoid a whole lot of problems.
Okay, I agree. I have been burnt many a times. And I have learned contracts, very, very specific contracts. And every time I get burnt, I add another line to my contract. Do not be kind to your clients when it comes to your pocket. I like the statement, when you are pricing your art, make a price that makes you smile, not your clients smile. They should be upset by your price. And if they want to pay for something, they will pay it. If they want to buy your art, they will buy it. Never negotiate. If someone says, oh, your price is a bit high, never give them a discount. Say, okay, thank you for considering my services. When you can afford my services, this is my contact, this is my Instagram, this is my Facebook. Talk to you later. Believe me, it saves you a whole lot of sanity. And when your real clients come in, I'm telling you, you will never have a bad experience with someone who really does appreciate your work. And yes, getting someone else to do the negotiation sometimes works.
Awesome. We have one last question. Gentleman at the back, Paul, please, if you could raise your hand. We have one last question. Ladies, do you have any questions for the crowd? Okay. Let's let him ask his question and then you can ask your question.
What I wanted to ask was, how did you convince your parents that this is a way to make money and you will not just have to take care of him for the rest of my life until I start making money, besides being stubborn about it?
I'll answer that for myself. I grew up with a single mom. Her policy was, as long as you do well in school, I'll let you do whatever you want. So that carried on even after school. When I told her I want to pursue sound engineering, she was like, okay, that's fine, as long as you do well in it. So I've always had a supportive parent. She's even up until now, like some of my shows, she actually comes, she's always been supportive. So I guess I'm blessed in that sense. But for those who don't have parents who are supportive as mine, try to do your research of professionals in whatever career you want to pursue, and show your parents that this person has made it, this person is making a living from what I want to do, and make sure you present it well. And then over time, I'm sure they'll come around and they'll understand that, no, this is what you want to do, and you can actually make a living from it.
Okay, so on my end, I did mention I made my parents cry for many years. However, I wanted to know why they didn't want me to be an artist. And it was because there was so much of a bad reputation that artists had. Artists are dirty, disheveled, they're druggies, they're not responsible, they are not good with money, and being someone who was intelligent but terrible at maths, I had a very steep hill to climb. So I told myself that if I'm going to be an artist, I need to be an artist that defied all the odds. That meant that if I'm dressing up for something, I needed to be the cleanest that I am. I needed to show that I've put thought in my outfit. If I'm doing art, I need to do art that makes a difference to my community, to everyone who's looking at me. I need to stand out and be morally what my parents or what society doesn't expect an artist to be. So that meant growing up, peer pressure was pushing my other peers to drugs. I would look into the future and say, if I started doing drugs, I am going to be that druggy artist. If I start doing this, then, so that's what convinced my parents when I started bringing in the money and saying, look, this is what my art is bringing in. And I can actually tell you, for the last 2 years of my university, I paid my own fees with my art. And so when my parents, it's funny, I got to listen to my dad brag to his friends about how I was making money through art. And I was just like, oh, wow, I convinced you, finally. I'm nearly 30, but I finally convinced him. So with just looking at what your parents are fearing, you can convince them by taking small steps to be the right artist that you want to be, or the right creative that you want to be. They will see from the outside that, okay, so maybe we were wrong. He or she is convincing us. They'll come around one way or the other, they'll come around. You just have to be stubborn enough to continue.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have right now. But if you do have any questions for the ladies, please, they'll still be around. You can linger and ask for them. Right, moving on to our next panel. I'm pretty excited for this one because it's animation in Zimbabwe, and we have Eugene Ramirez Mapondera. We've got Mr. Eugene Ramirez Mapondera. He is the co-founder of Comexposed, a creative hub for digital artists in Zimbabwe. He's an accomplished animator and illustrator, having worked in film, advertising, and publishing for over 14 years. Before we go there, please give these ladies a round of applause. Ladies, thank you so much. Eugene, please, if you could come to the front. It's your time to shine. While Eugene is making his way, we have Pius Nyenyewa. He is the creative mind and driving force behind Alula Animation, a highly regarded animation studio located in Zimbabwe. And he directed Mukudze, an animated short featured in Kizazi Moto. I'm not gonna lie, that was my favorite episode. When I saw that Crusader flying, whew, just made me so happy. And we have Lionel Fowler. He is the creative director of Brick Village Animation Studio in Zimbabwe. He is fond of every aspect of animation, from 3D motion graphics to award-winning short films. Ladies and gentlemen, please give this gentleman a round of applause.
What's up? What's up? Hold on a second. Give me a second. How y'all doing? Oh no, you know how I do. You know how I do. Come on now. Oh, you thought I wasn't gonna show up the whole day. Charlene, you close by? I love you. I love you. So we're gonna play a little game. It's called Eugene Hates the Backbenchers. So the first ones, Esty, I'm talking to you. First one up here gets a free t-shirt. Let's go. You know how I do. I got an interactive capability. You see what I did there? It's called a script. Mel scripted the crowd. Come on now. Office stands for this side too. Keeping an eye out for these guys? Oh, y'all didn't catch. We got a second row as well. And yeah, let's go and fill that up. How y'all doing? Hey, yo, brother, it's good to see you, man. Yeah, tell me about it. How y'all doing? Let's clap hands for the backbenchers that stayed behind. They're like, nah, we're going to occupy this territory. Shame on you. I'm kidding. They're just shy. They're shy. How y'all doing? I'm more excited about next year. It's 2025 next year. We had our first event in 2015. So I'm super excited about next year, but what the heck? I've been seeing a lot of these faces for like 9 years now. Verslas, how you doing? Good to see you, brother. Yeah? And then of course, sorry guys, I just had to do that. I mean, we couldn't have this chat with people all the way in the back. What do you think about that?
I know, the backbenchers.
All right, so we're talking about animation, 3D animation. Did y'all get your t-shirts? Smile, brother. Come on. Look at these guys with the technology and everything. Got the cheat sheet. Right on. She just handed us a page with our bios. So I was like, I'm gonna read out. Eugene is a. So gentlemen, how you doing? It's been a while since I last seen you guys. Let's talk about the industry in general. You want to go through that? You tell me wanted to see. Yeah. Price, let's start out with you. Tell us about the advent of everything since Kizazi Moto. I think for those of you, do we all know what Kizazi Moto is? So I didn't catch that in the back. Yeah, oh, great, so they're familiar. Everyone must be curious. Kizazi Moto happened, it was a global hit. 9 Annie Awards? How many awards did it win?
I don't know. All I know is they won another one last night, the SAFTers.
So you guys are just collecting them awards. But the big question is, here you are so many, it's been a year, a little over a year, because we're not counting the time that you guys finished and then you had to wait for marketing and release. But what's happened with Alula and your career path since then, and how has the field of animation in Zimbabwe treated you specifically since then?
Okay, is there an echo?
Yeah.
Yes, we.
Let's clap hands for the echo, y'all. Give it up for the echo.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe.
Hello? Yeah, this was better. So I'd like to separate me, the individual, and the company. Yeah, because me personally, I took since completing Kizazi Moto and we did the whole marketing thing, touring the world and stuff like that. I've kind of took a step back just to relax a little bit. So I don't have much to say there. Of course, I'm a dad. What's up? There's my daughter right there.
Yeah.
So I took a step back because it was a lot of work and I just need maybe a year or two just to recharge. But from the creative side, I think there's a sense of respect that I guess people always had. So it's not really something that's absolutely new to say, oh, I was surprised that, I can now talk to certain people in certain streets, or in certain rooms. Like there was always this sense of respect for animation, but it was just intensified because before there was no proof that you can actually make something that goes global, something that can actually, you know, bring in a lot of cash or contributing to the fiscus as.
Yes.
Yeah, so now there's a sense of respect. The quotations are not the same.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not the same. There's a sense of respect, not just in terms of how they view you, but almost the amount of money that they're also willing to give you, even from a local.
Let's contextualize that a little bit. In terms of the budgets, would you say you've gone from being able to support your team with we can eat and pay rent type of money, or have they gotten to we can buy cars kind of money?
We can buy cars and build buildings type.
I'm coming to work at Alula.
Yo, did you get that? Why ain't y'all clapping though?
Because they don't like when the brother makes it.
I think that was good news. I mean, back in the day, I'm talking 2009, 10, you'd be lucky to get paid anything above 500 for certain types of animation work. And that was a big deal back then because no one understood what it was. So for the industry to have moved to such a point where people can support themselves or actually build capacity, personal capacity, I think it's a big deal.
You take care of babies.
Yeah, you got a whole baby. Shout out to the baby. You get it. You guys get it now. Now that's the Comexposed. I know. Lionel, last time we had a chat on stage, you showed off this great animation. You talked about your journey from just producing content that was hitting YouTube and social media, and you started entering your work into festivals. I remember you talking about how you had identified India as one of your biggest markets. Yeah, do you want to talk about that journey? What's happened since then? Where have you taken your studio's work since that period of your short film, identifying the Indian demand, and that kind of thing?
It's been quite fascinating actually, but what happens, this world comes at you so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we decided to start getting into content, you know, the ideas came through fast. We worked on it, we delivered. As we were focusing on content, the commercial side came back.
Yeah.
You see, because people are seeing that content. Now they're coming back. They're like, you know what, you guys, we're seeing what you're doing. I think we can help each other this way. So we took a bit of a break on the content because we had to service the commercial side. A lot of commercials have been coming through. So we've been working on that. But the content side has been quite good. The short film that I showed last year is still in the circuits and selections. I think last time we'd won 2 awards. More selections are just coming through various festivals. You know,
wow.
It's quite good. It's quite good.
Wow. So this is an interesting conversation because none of us look like we're in our 20s. It just won't work. The lie kind of expired last year. And where I'm going with that is we've all been doing this for a long time. And I wanted to know how important it has been for you guys to get out of the trenches. Like you can't be on the ground doing the modeling, the texturing, the UV unwrapping. And right now, just like Paya said, there's talk of bigger budgets, bigger projects to manage. Can you describe your journey or the importance of transitioning from being one of the foot soldiers to being more of a producer or a person who hunts down for investment, business development for animation? How has that transition been for you guys?
It's not an easy one because we love the trenches. Like, you know, it's something that you're passionate about, and unfortunately, it's something you have to leave behind from time to time. Yeah, I think you just have to find a balance on how you need to, because at the end of the day, like I'm the creative director.
Yeah,
I still need to establish a look and to get all the artwork approved and go on, because at the end of the day, it's
the client still comes back to you.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a huge challenge, and the transition is not easy, but it's something that you will continuously figure out.
Yeah.
Because it's not a simple process, not at all.
Yeah, yeah. Pius, how do you feel about it?
I'm enjoying the maturity of it.
Yeah.
One thing that I was capable of doing is, you know, just like I'm pretty sure you did the same thing too, to build a team that you trust.
Yeah.
You know, and when you build a team that you trust and they really believe in the vision that you guys, it's not just your vision, it's the studio's vision. It's the
Exactly.
company's vision.
You mind if I ask you a question on that one? Right now, you've mentioned the team, and I don't think everyone has a sense or context of how big your team is. I think it's important just to share that so that they get an appreciation of if everyone in the team has, you know, kind of upgraded from petty cash salary to something more substantial. Why is it important for you to be hunting for the work or leveraging that role as a producer? So do you mind just giving us a bit of context of the size of your team?
Oh, awesome. So we have quite a flexible approach to building a team. It depends on the capacity of work that's required.
Yeah.
I think last year, December is when we had our biggest team. I think we're almost up to 27 or so.
27 artists.
It was 27 artists and another group of people who were admin, and some people were engineering some of the cool hologram technology that we debuted last year. So, you know, just 27 people, that's a lot of mouths to feed over a period of time. So the budgets also have to be reflective of the same passion that the people have.
Wow.
Yeah, so at the same time, for people not to rage quit, which is very, very true because the work is quite demanding.
It is.
I think the two of our juniors right here, we've got Ben right there, and then we've got Tawanda right there.
Wow. Can you raise your hand if you're a 3D animator or an aspiring 3D artist? Raise it. Nice.
Yeah. So I think they can attest to how difficult it is sometimes to just get the well to run dry.
Yeah.
You know, while you are in the middle of you know, celebrating that you got a big project or something like that.
Yeah.
So my job has shifted from just being the guy who models to sometimes I'm tired of modeling.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to do it anymore. Like I don't want to do the bulk of production anymore. So you really rely on the team.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you give Ben an assignment to do, you know, he's going to nail it.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be a difference between the way that you used to do it and how you do it now.
Yeah.
But then also at the same time, you have this respect of people have lives. You know, this is not just a hobby, it's a career that need to get paid and stuff like that. And also Zimmer is knocking on your door. You also have to contribute to the fiscus. So we've also, like I've been saying that a lot.
Yeah, you said fiscus twice.
Because
we need to talk about that.
As you grow as a company, right?
Yeah.
At some point, like you need to really consider the fact that your company needs to pay taxes.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, your company at some point will owe a lot of money, and that's what kills a lot of SMEs. So for me now, as the head of the company, I'm thinking, okay, how do I get a budget that's good enough for the studio to survive?
Yeah.
At the same time, take that 15% and give it back to Zimra, take those payees and give them to Zimra and all those kind of things. So you get to a point where you shift your mind from thinking that, hey, it's a cool animation, and really sensationalizing the artwork and just saying it's a beautiful color, or you know, I put my heart and soul into this because Zimra doesn't care, and your artists also sometimes don't care.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is think of it as a product.
Yeah.
What are you giving people, and why should someone give you money?
Yeah, I think the sad truth about this is exactly what you just said. Sometimes you've got the authorities, they don't care, right? Your team doesn't care. And sometimes even your audience might not notice that subsurface scattering that you got just right. You know, they might not notice that you spent 10 hours on a texture map for a particular character. You know, you wanna comment on that? Like, how's it been managing your team and trying to get more capacity to support Brick Village?
It's been quite the journey. I think we're a pretty lean team.
Yeah.
You know, so one thing that I didn't like is I was coming up was I would work for agents. I did some work for agencies. Yes. So the trend was you work for like maybe 3 or so months. The 4th month, getting paid was a hassle.
Yeah.
You know, the business is struggling and things like that. So as I grew as a leader, I took it to myself that, you know what, you can't just take on people that you won't be able to pay.
Yeah.
So I make sure that I keep a team that I'm able to cater for, regardless of what's happening. So we have a very lean team. I think with 3, 4, with my sister, she's somewhere there. She's like the project.
Yeah. Applause for the sister. Yeah.
Shout out to the project manager. Yeah, it's so you have to manage that, because what happens is at times when the big money comes, the big projects comes.
Yeah.
You're tempted to bring on people. You know, it's a good thing that we have a community. At times you get freelancers to come through. You maintain the team, you get freelancers to come through, get the work done, pay everyone, and everyone is happy.
Yeah.
And make sure at the end of the month that the core team is happy as well.
In a perfect world. No, that sounds great. I want to talk about something that's very controversial. So I'm pretty old school. I think the version of Maya that was out when I started was version 8, right? So from our generation, we take pride in the nitty gritties, you know, your modeling, your texturing, all of that fun stuff. And fast forward to today, there's that lovely thing called artificial intelligence. And we've heard of ways that big studios like Weta has used AI for, you know, stress maps on characters for their facial expressions, to calculate complicated simulations for rain, you name it. And we also have a younger generation of artists, the majority of them are here, using AI for the most basic of things that we would have spent hours working on. I don't want to get into the debate of is AI good or bad, but I'm very, very interested in how you guys have leveraged it, because there are a lot of annoying things in our craft, 3D, that we wouldn't want to do. I'll give you an example. I shamelessly am using AI generators to create PBR materials, right? Saves a lot of time. I don't have to go onto HDR Haven and then stack it with, you know, specular map, make sure it's right. That's an example of what I mean. But I'm sure there are lots of other interesting things that you guys have put in, because I know as much as your teams are substantial, they can't do everything. And yeah, wherever you can save time, you should. So I'd like to hear how you guys, if at all, you're using AI. Let's start with Lionel.
AI has been a big help, especially when it comes to concepting.
Yeah.
Just trying to establish a look. You know, you can quickly go through various versions of whatever look you're trying to have with that. It helps a lot in that stage of creating artwork. But speaking on that, just last week, I actually found out a very good way to use AI.
Okay, this is what we're waiting for. Is this not what you came for?
Well, so it was a talk that I saw online, quite fascinating. And I think it's something that a lot of artists can benefit from. So these guys, what they're doing, like you're working on a project, maybe you've done the modeling, surfacing and all that, right? They take the initial images, they upload them to the AI, right? And they get suggestions from AI, right? So you upload your image, right? The look, whatever it is that you have, maybe more of this room, you have the wood there. The AI brings back something, right? Maybe a better version, for better for worse, right? Yeah. But there are 1 or 2 things that you pick from there, right? The AI might bring back, you know, your wood needs a little bit more reflections, you know, some dirt on the walls.
Wait, so the AI actually gives you a critique of your shot?
something like that.
Yeah.
You know, so they take the good and implement it in the artwork. And obviously, if there's any bad feedback, you don't take it. So
Wow.
so that was quite brilliant, and it has helped those guys a lot. And I think we're going to start doing that as well.
Awesome. How's it going at Alula?
Oh, that's, well, first of all, clap hands to that.
Yeah, yeah.
So of course, in the advent of AI, we all panicked.
Yeah.
Because we weren't too sure what exactly it's going to do. And even right now, we're not really too sure what exactly is it going to do 5 years down the line.
Sure.
But as of today at the studio, the way that we use artificial intelligence is more, because we're more of a technical studio. Like we're very much into the technicalities of how do we create a system that will help a student out. So we use it more to create tools.
Yeah, let me give an example for our audience. The technical tasks within 3D that they probably go unnoticed because they're part of world building, for example. Let's say you want to create a randomized field of bushes, but you can't have them all facing the same direction, having the same number of branches, having the same height, but you want a system that you can develop internally to maybe customize bushes across a landscape, you know? And let's say you want 2 scenes, one that's winter and one that's summer. You might want to create a system that can weather those bushes based on the season without you having to go in and manually change each one for the other scene. So when he says that the studio is very technical and they create systems, that's an example of what he means. Not all the time, but that's just an example.
Yeah. So for example, we're really big on Anthropic, Claude AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that we really use for tools. ChatGPT, we use it mostly for administration stuff.
Okay.
It seems like to understand that, especially the new previews and
Yeah.
preview 01 or whatever. But we use it mostly to develop tiny little handy tools.
Yeah.
You know, like my hammer. I just want what if my hammer could, every time I do this, I strike once, but it strikes 4 times.
Yeah.
You know, like that's those tiny little invisible things that could just expedite the whole process without necessarily replacing the whole artist.
Yeah, and something that will make the process easier at the same time. Yeah.
So in cases where we're like, okay, this is the process and this is how we were doing it all along. For an example, like at the studio, we have performance capture suits.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you get the data after recording it, you have to clean it.
Yeah.
It's a really painstaking and annoying process.
Yeah.
So utilizing things like that would really help with the cleanup process.
Yeah.
Sometimes bridging 2 processes that usually are very painstaking.
Yeah.
And then recently, of course, like artistically, you know, we had a distinct style that we just found. Sometimes like you spend like 20 minutes just like asking AI to give you something, it just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And you start sending it curse words and it's like, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you anymore.
I thought I was the only one who did that.
When it's like, I'm sorry, and then it won't talk to you. But we've been trying to get it to give us good concept art that we can actually use.
Yeah.
We haven't really been successful, I guess, only on one project when we were creating a very distinct look and we just didn't have time.
Yeah.
Or like, we really like what it's doing. And I guess like on one recent project, I think the boys know exactly what I'm talking about, where it gave us like a good suggestion. We're like, oh, how about that?
Yeah.
But really when it comes down to it, we use AI for 2 things: administration.
Yeah.
Because we're just like, bro, we've got our invoices, our taxes. I want to say that a lot.
Yeah.
Pay your taxes, people. It calculates all that for you and you do minimal work. Sometimes you just tell it, hey, you know, I've got this client, can you generate this for me and blah, blah, blah. And it understands your system and it can help with that. And then on the other side, it's creating a lot of tools.
Yeah. Yeah. There's another use case that you and I discussed. I know it's not Akietsu, it's the other French animation software that does AI guided interpolation.
So many of them.
No, the French one, the popular one.
Which one?
It's not Akietsu, it's okay. But anyway, a cool use for AI recently in our field. If you know anything about how 3D animation is produced, we typically pose the equivalent of a door across a timeline, right? And then what you do in between those poses, you have to figure out if you've estimated the gravity. For example, a character like me would jump faster than a character like Lionel, because he's not light as a feather like I am. Like I get blown off by the wind. So you need to manually figure it out and work on it and call those breakdowns and so on. And just from the explanation I'm giving you, I'm sure you've gathered it's a painstaking process. So a handy tool that came up recently was one that would pretty much approximate those in-betweens for you. And it saves a lot of time for animation.
Sorry, what is the software
They know it.
What's
The
that?
French one. Yes, Cascadeur. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes,
See, I'm Shauna, so I wouldn't have remembered Cascadeur.
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup.
Yes,
So-
Cascadeur, yes.
See?
It does a lot of great cleanup. You know, if you get like raw animation data,
yeah,
like the legs are very finicky and usually they're not
See, now you
planted.
get
It understands, okay, so this is what you wanted to do when you recorded your animation.
Yeah.
And this is what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it really gets the dynamics, especially fight scenes are just like
No, they're the pits. Yeah,
Yeah,
the physics is
body mechanics. Yes.
it's just insane.
Yeah. I guess, not to get too technical, but I guess if you're going to take away anything from this little exchange is that the art community hasn't collectively rejected AI. And by the time we're 10 years deeper into this, the next generation of animators might not do UV and wrapping. Yeah, go ahead.
Just to add to the AI thing, Unity Technologies.
Yes.
They've just released an update. And now you can type in prompts of animations that you want to do. So that's where it's going now.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy.
Makes your life easier.
Yeah.
Makes us, the execs, more money.
So there's so I've been going somewhere with this the whole time. If content creation and animation has become simpler because of tools like AI and the other tools that we're using, you mentioned motion capture using Rococo, motion capture suits. We've talked about using AI for texture generation. There's a lot of difficult stuff that's been cut out of the pipeline, right? Do you guys want to talk about the importance of strong storytelling because of this? I mean, if we're no longer investing so much time in animating hardcore, what are your comments on the importance of telling a damn good story since you no longer have that excuse of, I spent 6 months retopologizing this mesh? You want to start, Pius?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the reason why we're all here, whether you're doing animation, you're doing music, you're doing paintings, or you're doing comics, it's always story.
Yeah.
Right? It's just different mediums that we choose, right? But the core of it is good story. We've watched horrible looking films that have good stories and we love them, right?
Yeah.
And all these industries and all this junk that we've been developing is just to support a good story.
Yeah.
So for an example, before the 4090 was released, you know, you typically had to render for 8 hours and now you render for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the 5090 is coming out, now you're going to render for maybe like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So all of it liberates you and it gives you more time to really perfect the vision or intention that you're creating the shot. For example, in a studio, you have a producer and a writer and a director, right? So typically like the director and the writer will write a scene and scene one, character walks in, giant waterfall, hero raises his hand and the waterfall opens like a curtain, right? The producer and the technical team were like, these guys are crazy, right?
Yeah.
Just the computing power that we're going to need for us to do that.
Yeah.
And the producer's like, how much is that going to cost? Like, that's a $40,000 computer.
Yeah.
But now with all these new features that are coming out, these features that are liberating like the story process, you can really go as far as you want because you know that computation is not going to be a problem. Producing and developing the look that you actually want is not going to be a problem. So you spend more time really, getting the actual movements and intention that you want it to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Lionel, please.
Yeah, I think stories is very important. It's actually the most important aspect.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like everyone can now make pretty pictures. Anywhere you look, like there's this competitions online, 5-minute second animation competitions.
Yeah.
Every render that you see there, there's thousands of them. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
How are these people coming up with these looks? You know, it's so amazing. The color and everything is so amazing. So when everyone can now create all this content, right? What makes your content stand out is the story.
Yeah.
Because everyone has seen pretty pictures everywhere. You know, like if you look at the big industry like Hollywood, there is the peak of trying to make things look realistic.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're good now. Now they're trying to mimic the paper.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like,
and that's how we got.
We've
that's
done
how-
all that. you
Yeah,
know,
that's
things
how we
look
got.
pretty now.
That's how we got Thor: Love and Thunder. No, I'm kidding. That was a fact.
You know, so for your content to stand out in this amazing world of beautiful looking content, beautiful animations, you know, you can have the worst looking picture, but if you got the best story, you can win.
Great.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I just wanted to add something there.
Go for it.
You know, post working with Disney, I realized something that really excelled like our business is I stopped sensationalizing. I think I said it before, stopped sensationalizing and thought of something as a product. You know, sometimes there's no point in having a beautiful product that is just horrible just to use.
Yeah.
Right.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So my approach now is with animation or whatever it is that we're making, I think of it as a product.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing industrial design, you're designing a new phone, how does it feel when you're holding it, right? I think one of the biggest critiques of the new iPhones is that the sharp edges make them uncomfortable, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. So you're really thinking of something as a product. And just because you got the machinery to do something, to fashion a certain product does not necessarily mean that you should fashion it that way.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what story is.
Yeah.
Right. If you are creating a new product, you're seeing a gap where you're thinking, hey, I could create something that could fit in this space right here. So therefore, that's what your animation, that's what your story it should be about. You can find any studio or use any AI tool out there to generate a good image.
Yeah.
Right. But really, story is the actual product.
Yeah. Animation is boom at the end of the day. Are y'all still with us? Yeah, you feeling this? We didn't get too techie. If you're a writer, put your hand up. You're a writer. Somebody give them a t-shirt. Okay, great. Question for you guys. Do you have writers' rooms?
Yes.
Wow. I like that, getting audience interaction over there, like, yeah, me.
So,
yeah.
It's actually a funny story how I got to work with this writer. She messaged me on Facebook.
Okay.
She messaged me. She was inquiring about animation and things like that.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you know, I write one or two things, maybe check them out and things like that. And then we got this synergy. She's the one that wrote Hello Beautiful.
All right.
Yeah, so it's been quite the journey. I'm also trying to help her with some of her stories to bring them to life. And you know, we never have enough time or resources to do that. So I think we're working on a graphic novel for her. I think that will be the best thing that we can possibly produce given the time and resources that we have. But
awesome.
But it's
awesome.
She's quite good.
Paris, do you guys have a writer's room?
Yeah, there is. But like I said, at this moment, like for me personally, I've been kicking it back.
Yeah.
Just trying to detox and probably just focus on the family a little bit.
Yeah.
So there are writers' rooms, but I'm not as active in them right now on a personal basis. And that kind of feeds into what the studio is working on right now.
Okay.
They kind of just follow wherever I'm going. So right now we're not actively developing anything, but we do have multiple writers' rooms, like especially with Kisazimoto. Like,
of course, for that we'd imagine. So the reason why I asked that question was following everything else we've discussed, like if we're getting our house in order in terms of producing, business development, we're getting our time freed up with AI and all of these cool new tools. I mean, Cycles is rendering a gazillion times faster than it did 5 years ago. Doesn't that free us up to come back to where it all started, the story? And if we're going to genuinely invest in story in a meaningful way, I think one problem that animators have is we're the last to admit that we're not the best storytellers all the time. But I feel like this could be an opportunity for us to reach out and say, how many writers are there again in here? Yeah, give them a t-shirt, give them a t-shirt. This is our chance to actually say, hey, we've freed up some time. Surely we can incorporate some human input where we've made up for using machines. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, we replaced you with AI.
Yeah.
No, but that's absolutely true. One of the things that I've learned, and I'm pretty sure you guys have learned the same thing throughout time, is that sometimes you don't have to try to do everything by yourself.
By yourself, that's right.
Right? Because you are not the team. You don't want the whole credits to be like Eugene Mapwonder, Eugene.
Yeah, it was like that in the beginning.
Yeah, it's like a good feeling, but it's not practical. No one really wants to invest in just you, because if something happens to you, I'm digressing.
Yeah. Touch wood.
Yeah. Trump calls it a weaving.
Yeah, you did the weave.
Yeah, so the thing is, you have to be able to trust other people to do what you hired them for.
Yeah.
So you have to have an idea of what a writer does, so that when you're having conversations with a writer, you can read a script, you understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Right, and make necessary changes. But then at the same time, you're not supposed to replace them.
True.
Right? Like, it saves you a lot of time and you get more value because you're getting their lived experience from other shows and projects that they have and that you didn't work on, that they worked on.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how you make beautiful, amazing films like June and June Chapter 2.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's trusting the people that surround you to contribute and give a bit of themselves to whatever project that you are working on at that exact same moment.
Excellent. We've been at this for a little over 30 minutes, so I believe we can open up for some questions. Let's clap hands for Pius and Lionel. Yeah, they're dropping some truth bombs. Are we good for time? Can we do question and answer? We can? Okay, great. We're gonna do question and answer, and then we'll kind of include you guys in the conversation. How does that sound? How y'all feel about that? You feel good about that? Yeah, give him a t-shirt. Give him a t-shirt. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. My question to you is regarding AI. Aren't you worried that if you put like something you've worked on onto the AI, you're not actually training it, and then someone like me can come behind and then put a prompt and then get what you uploaded onto the AI?
I love that question. So AI has made very basic tasks easy to steal. For example, image generation. You can get onto Llama on your WhatsApp and get an image that's been trained off a billion artists. But it just so happens that if you go back to the tasks that we've been making AI perform, they're so specific to 3D animation, you'd still need to understand animation to begin with. So if at all it's going to be exposed to the animation industry, for example, for them to borrow or steal or benefit from that model or that solution that we've created, every problem in animation is so unique. I'll give you that example of the bushes, right? Pius could solve that bush landscape scenario that I gave you, right? And it'll be like, right, I've got my savanna bushes in winter and I've got my savanna bushes in summer. And then I'll come along and I'll make me a sci-fi film on Mars. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this won't work for me because I don't know what the seasons in Mars are going to be. Because it goes back to story. Every story presents a unique challenge. And the reasons we kind of deploy AI is to solve the things that would take too long or would be too expensive for us to do manually. So that worry is kind of subdued. And we worry about the other professions. I know, especially for fine artists, illustrators, and so on, it's so easy to steal those, to steal styles and replicate styles. But for things like, I mentioned stress maps and wrinkle maps for facial animation. I hope you're animating Thanos if you're going to steal that. but generally, it kind of waylays our fear of that. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
As of now, AI can only mimic, it cannot originate.
Yeah.
So as long as you're the original creator of something, you still have a bigger hand in whatever parts of that story is.
Yeah.
So yeah, as long as you have the story, you're fine.
Yeah.
I guess my response, I'd want to use Tsumo. But Tsumo right? We know what that means, right? Which means that you can carry your own weight, right? That also means that if somebody tries to take your weight, they can't handle it. Like even before AI, I wasn't really afraid of people taking my ideas and trying to replicate them because they were so wild.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to create this? I know how to do this.
Yeah.
So in a sense, I'm not really worried about AI. Recently, there's a project that we did, and we did it very quickly because the client had generated something using AI, and they wanted it to do something else, and we kept on giving them like a completely different character, right? So it generates like 7 images, and then you like image number 4. And then you're like, I like image number 4. Can you make image number 4 do this? And then when it generates from image number 4, it creates something completely new.
It has a brain fart.
Exactly. So it didn't understand continuity. It had these tiny little things that always put off the client, because we're in the business of servicing clients. It's either a corporation or we're servicing an audience, right?
Yeah.
And the audience can pick up certain things that they don't like. Now, right now, AI is like, it's getting better. Like Will Smith is eating that spaghetti a little bit better now, but there's always these things that just make them hit a dead end very quickly.
Yeah.
That just makes me feel like our profession and our careers are still safe, at least for now, like what Leno said, like at least for now, because them little nerds are fixing those codes. And
yeah. I think of back in 2009, right? The big fear back then was, aren't you afraid of posting your artwork onto social media? Won't someone steal it? Or if you post your artwork on this and that platform, shouldn't you put a watermark? Because that was the big fear then. It was as profound as the threat of AI is today. Yeah.
Just to add about AI, what AI is doing, I think it should actually motivate you. You should be good at what you do.
Yeah.
You should be good at what you do. I'll tell you, for example, there's a talk that I was watching, and these guys were talking about AI, and this guy was saying that AI is going to kill the internet. It's going to kill the internet. Why? Because at some point it's going to get so good, no one will know what's real and what's not. What happens then? You go to the actual person, and talk to them and get the service from them.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're good, they will come to you.
Yeah. And I appreciate what you're talking about. I've got a different view, which is that the more technology advances and solves human problems, this isn't really like a watershed moment in technology. It just creates more jobs. It creates new jobs. I'll give a simple example of the question that I posed to you guys when I said, if AI is taking the load off a lot of technical tests that we're doing and it's saving us so much more time and money, doesn't that mean we can now supplement by incorporating more human writers into our writers' rooms? It inadvertently introduced a new job. And in the cases where it literally creates new jobs, where someone might be in charge of using AI in combination with scripting to create an internal tool or a plugin like what the Alula guys are doing. That's a whole new job. So the way I see it is it's going to continue to advance, and as it evolves, it's going to evolve the job market with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because an AI tool in the hands of a professional is always way better than the AI tool in the hands of
Yeah.
of an amateur.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Hi, so I have a question about, let's say illustrators.
Yeah.
Creatives who create work that can be appropriated, for lack of a better word, by AI tools, right? I guess my question is, where do you stand with the view that if we do not create material that's culturally contextualized to ourselves and put into the, I guess, the training of AI, is our culture or our cultural artifacts are they not in danger of disappearing over time? Because if everyone is using, for example, everyone uses Google to find X, Y, Z, but you can't find very much about a tribe in Victoria Falls, let's say, because there's no information on Google for that. So over the years, if that information remains, back in the day, it would be orally passed on. Now maybe it's written. If we do not participate in populating the space, are we not in a danger of, as technology grows and becomes more widely available, losing certain cultural artifacts?
Can I take it? You guys want to? Okay, great. So that's a great question. And I think it's given us an opportunity to talk about some of the previous examples. I think our culture has been appropriated, ripped off, stolen, I think for the better part of 15 years now. A lot of what's presented as authentically African within Black Panther, for example, the movie, we can all disagree with it and throw it out. And it's made worse by the fact that if we investigate who was behind those films, I mean, Ludwig Göransson, the guy who created the score for Black Panther, is not a Black man. He is as Swedish or as European as they come. My point being, this has been happening before AI, and AI is continuously hallucinating because it's got little pockets of information that is trained the different models, right? I like what you brought up because I think it solidified something that Lionel said. Even though his example was further into the future where he was talking about the internet, being taken over by AI to such an extent that you have to come back to human beings. I think it comes back to what he suggested, that eventually the researchers will have to go back on the ground, go to Great Zimbabwe, take photographs, talk to people on the ground, or like the lady who was speaking here earlier on, she took the photo of Joiner City, which she licensed, and Joiner Center. What do they call it? Joiner City, yeah. And that authentic photograph is worth more than any AI can generate because we know for sure it was taken on the ground. So it's an interesting quandary that you brought up, but I think the solution is humanity kind of solves that problem in the end, because the more AI generates content, the more it drives up the value of human created art. Oh, the gentleman in the back. Oh, sorry, I can't see you, man. You're a backbencher. Sorry, man. Don't give him a t-shirt. No.
All right, sorry to keep bringing it back to AI.
And sitting in the back?
Yeah. No, I don't know, apologize for that.
I'm kidding, go ahead.
No, I'm playing. Sorry to keep bringing it back to AI. So I'm an artist, like a musician. And for anyone who knows about music, there was this phenomenon years ago, it would have Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
And people looked down on Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
Since we have tools, these software packages that cost. Sorry, I'm speaking funny. It's the echo. It's throwing me off.
It's all right.
All right. So people would have this bias. Sorry to speak in Shona for those that don't.
No.
Right. So there was professional studio software, expensive, $500, big studio, what? And if you're an artist, it was a big deal. Fruity Loops was looked down upon, she's an amateur, amateur. And I'm starting to see a parallel with AI, where people are saying, it's still fringe, you know, and it's ugly. When you see AI generated pictures, you can tell. When you can see an AI generated short clip, you can tell. Yeah. I'm seeing, say, repeats of the same thing. What did Fruity Loops then do? Every top 40 right now, making millions of dollars. Just running Fruity Loops. Was software, that kind of thing. Yeah. So my question is, as far as the work these gentlemen have done, it's cutting edge, it's amazing, and they've managed to make it economically viable for themselves at a high level. With this AI that's come now, and it's in 5 to 10 years, who knows what will happen? Proliferation of AI tools that are super cheap and accessible to get roots for nothing via Meta. How will that affect the quote unquote serious guys who are serious when lower quality stuff floods the market that is equally as Zimbabwean and as authentic as the big deal that you guys are doing? What do you see the future for animation looking like as more powerful tools come available for free via Meta? Never buy like property, animate 30-minute clip of a Zulu, princess, make it fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
We got you. All right.
Yeah, I think you got your question. I was getting now confused because it was a little longer now. So you're saying, so first of all, I want to understand what you're saying because you say quite a number of things. You're saying that people are looking at AI like it's not really achieving such heights.
Like it's not a threat.
Yeah, like it's not a threat, exactly, right? But at some point, like while we're sleeping, it's just going to overtake, right? So a point of correction that we want to make, right, is maybe like the conception is lost in translation or in conversation. We know that AI is here to stay. Yeah. They started off with a CPU, and then there's a GPU. Now there's an NPU.
Yeah.
Computers that are shipping with a neural processing unit, right? So that it can run AI instructions on board. So we know it's here to stay. But really the whole idea is shifting your mind to accept that it's here. For example, what can I legally do if somebody trains their artwork based off of mine? Do I want to waste my time following, going down that rabbit hole? But what I want to say is that the advent of AI, the biggest problem that it's going to create is that the people who are already in the industry, it's like the housing market in the United States, right? Yeah. The people who already had houses in the 70s are the ones who are living large now.
Oh yeah.
Right? So the people who are already in the industry, who are already professionals, I'm sorry to say, but we are the ones who are going to benefit more from everything getting easier. Because there's a lot of junior things that I used to hire someone to do, like retopologize.
Oh yeah.
That I can just use quadrimesher now, right? So it might seem like we're thinking, oh, AI is not a threat, right? It's not a threat to me, right? Because I'm already up there. But for everyone else who's going to want to get in the industry, it's going to be significantly difficult.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be less reasons for me to hire where I used to, like rigging.
Yeah. I've got an interesting response to what you said, and I'll use music just so that it really hits home. I was in a similar conversation with a bunch of friends of mine on a group, and I said, do you know who Hans Zimmer is? Okay. I said, Hans Zimmer doesn't lose sleep over guys using Fruity Loops. I'll repeat that. Hans Zimmer isn't losing sleep because guys are using Fruity Loops in their basements or garages, right? And the point I'm making there is, when you're at that level, like Pius said, when you're at a professional level, you've got that other thing that most people use AI as a crutch for. You've got that thing called talent, right? Now, imagine if Hans Zimmer says, okay, great. So AI is there, and maybe there are now 100,000 more digital audio producers out there. Let me use AI too. What Pius is saying is kind of a parallel to what the example I'm giving you. Now that's Hans Zimmer on AI or Hans Zimmer on steroids. The game remains the same. The gap remains the same. So AI is going to have, just to rephrase something he said, AI is having an impact on two tiers. The complete novice, who can now get in easily, right? I wake up, I can't draw, all of a sudden I'm like, there's AI. Now I can make crime videos where I have drawings instead of footage. We've seen that on TikTok, right? And then there's the guy right at the top who's saying, oh, I couldn't make my 3D Thanos have micro expressions on the corner of his eyelid for my next blockbuster. Now I can do that because of AI. You get it? Those are two different use cases for it, but one is so advanced and one is so novice. I hope that answers you.
I think let me just add to that. I'll go back a bit. He mentioned tools. He mentioned Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
So I'll say that just be good at what you do. It doesn't matter what tool you use. I'll give you an example. There's an artist in Japan. This guy is now famous. He does illustrations in Excel. Yeah. Microsoft Excel. He does illustrations. Who does illustrations in Excel? He does amazing illustrations in Excel, not just illustrations, amazing illustrations in Excel.
Yeah.
But no one uses Excel for that. You know, so no matter what tool, you just have to be good at what you do.
And the other curse that a lot of people don't realize, because everyone's grandma can now generate a beautiful image, it makes the bar of entry very high.
Yeah.
Right? Because something is liberated now, like Starlink, you know, it now makes it difficult, you know, like if anyone can just come in and say, hey, look what I did, right? And then I say, how do you do that? Oh, I typed it in, right? And I'm like, wow, that's very beautiful. Basically, the industry, the people that pay people to do things, they're gonna be very difficult to impress because they're always gonna think, oh, so you just did that with AI, so why should I give you money? Or they're gonna just think, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the problem still stays the same. The bar of entry is now high. Like, look at the number of layoffs that are happening in Hollywood right now. It's because now they're creating storyboards, AI software, so you just give it a script and it boards the whole thing. You know what I mean? So the bar of entry is going to get higher.
Yeah. Yeah, since this is Comexposed, and I know there are illustrators and there are painters and digital artists who are like, how am I going to protect my work? I feel like I should give some tips. So there are two free tools that you can research. One is called Nightshade, like the poison. And what it does is you use it on your artwork to literally poison any AI model that tries to ingest your work and add your work to that model, right? And then there's another one called Glaze, Glaze. You can apply it again to your work and it makes your artwork almost invisible to AI models that, you know, that are trying to take it up. So yeah, to train on it. Thank you. Yeah. So I just thought that would be cool. And if you want to follow, speaking of new jobs, we did speak of jobs coming up as a result of AI. There's now a whole legal kind of discipline that has come up, like lawyers who are now specializing in litigating AI related theft. So it's a vicious cycle. It's an evolution of human resources and technology. Yeah. Do we still, are we doing on time?
We can take one last question.
One last question.
One last question.
How are you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling? You guys okay? Yeah. Who said yes? Who said yes? I'll give her a t-shirt. Give her a t-shirt. Yeah, she said the one that said yes. I like that enthusiasm. Just give her a t-shirt. Give her a cap.
A t-shirt and a cap.
Yeah.
A whole fit.
Hey.
Okay.
Hi, my question is not AI related.
Stop hands on. Come on now. Stop hands. Hey, yeah. My man.
So my question is, as more established studios now, the jobs that you do, how much of it is like client commissioned work as opposed to the stories that you as a studio wants to tell? And how do you decide like what projects you're going to be working on? What's the rationale?
Oh, I like your question. I wanna, okay, I've got an interesting response. You wanna, yeah?
I want to say like, can you, your question and him,
That
like,
guy-
I know
that
you
guy,
heard it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then you just ask your question and then we'll
And
just
then we'll
follow.
take turns. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, go for it, bro.
Okay.
Next time, sit in the front. Sit in the front next time. Yeah. Go.
Thank you. My question is, how long did it take you guys to get your first project? And how do you manage the thought of leaving Zimbabwe because of the tactics outside? Yeah, that's my question.
I like your question. I think I can link it to the second one. What was the second one again? The first one. That's not the second one.
The first one.
Yeah, the one that.
What was your question again?
He was asking about client-based work and how you go.
Great. Okay, great. So I think all of our answers are going to be unique. They'll give you like a spread of approaches. I got into the industry way back in 2007-ish, somewhere there, right? Things were very different. I was one of the first guys to own a Wacom stylus tablet. The first time I ever put up a drawing online, it went super viral because there weren't many people doing it, and my illustration career took off. So for me, the time that it took for me to get from zero to Zimbabwean level mainstream was relatively short because the demand was high, the supply was very little, right? I think it's important for me to differentiate from these guys because they've got different stories. And then his question was about our stories, right? Now, I want to link it to what I said to him. I've been in this line of work for a fairly long time, as you can imagine. And when you are of a certain seniority, certain clients approach you with respect for that, and they can't run all over you like they would a rookie. And because of that, I make sure to set down some ground rules. I heard previous conversations talked about things like copyright and so on. And because I know what a franchise is, I know the value of selling my IP. My close friend, the co-founder of Comexposed, Tino Makoni, he's doing a lot of work with the World International Intellectual Property Organization. So I'm educated enough to set those kind of ground rules from the onset to say, you might be coming in as the investor, you might be coming in as the funder, but we're going to retain our autonomy as the storytellers, as the IP owners. So I hope you can draw the parallel. It's something that I can do in my own unique situation because of how long I've been doing this. And of course, I also don't just come in as an artist, I come in as a consultant. So those are some of the things that I leverage to drive a bargain. Okay, Pius, I'm sure your experience is different.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna first answer your question. He started in 2007. I think I started 2009. Was in my teens. I don't know if they're teens somewhere here. I was in my teens.
Yeah,
but
teens.
to get my first break, it really depends on what do you mean by break, because you break a lot of ceilings. You know what I mean? Like the first one was working with local clients here and getting actual money. I think it was in 2016. That was the first time I was like, oh my God, I got paid the first $1,000 for developing a character. So that was a break. So just do your math from 2009 to 2016. And then from there, the graph is so weird, right? Because when you break the first one, you think you're gonna take equally as long to break the second one. It just goes.
And technology played a role as well.
Yeah,
It was developing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2016, 2018, open a studio, 2020, working with Disney, so, and then now it's like, I don't know, I'm like just floating. I'm not falling, I'm not rising, I'm just floating. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure like another ceiling will be broken. So I guess that answers your question, right?
Yeah.
Your question is around commercial work, or should you say commissioned work, right? Because when people use commission, they think, oh, just paint a photo of me or do a portrait, right? But if like a big bank is paying you money to do an advert, that's commissioned work. So what we've done is that over time, we've built a certain approach to how we do our work. And the people who come to us because of how we approach our work. So we tend to do things that we actually want to do.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like IP or like our own personal stories, they're like your wives. You treat them more precious than they're more expensive. So you tend to, you know, hold them dearly in a certain way, right? So the way that we've done it is we've shifted from doing a lot of adverts. Like we still do adverts. Like that's like we don't, Imani, you know, we're not gonna let it go, right? It's still money. We've shifted from that to now doing production work for TV shows. For example, there's a show that we're supposed to be working on. Like I think my team here remembers it. It's a kids show, 10-episode kids show. You know, people are gonna be seeing it on BBC probably in 2026 or something like that. We're still doing animation as if we're, and funny enough, when a client comes to you and they say, hey, I want you to produce this for me, sometimes you immediately fall in love with it. You're still being paid to do it, but you're not putting your ideas in it. Like you're like a second unit director. So you're kind of doing your own project at the same time because they have no idea how to do it. So it becomes your own project. So it's like a balance. And then we have also another side where we've started doing the experiential stuff like Imagineering stuff. You know, I don't know if you know what Imagineering is. It's experiences like theme parks and all those type of things, right? It's still like in the entertainment space and it's still our baby, right? But then we found someone who's like, hey, I can give you like, you know, like $600,000 for you to do that. And then you're like, yay. So, you know, it's finding ways to convince someone to pay you for what you want to do.
You know? Okay, I'll start with him. I also started in 2008.
My man.
Yeah, we're old timers.
Let's go. Oh man, I remember back then we did cloth banners. Like you'd actually paint an artist onto a cloth.
Wow.
And have the lettering instead of printing.
Yeah.
You paint the guy
like the grid style of lettering.
Yeah, and then
We all
name the venue and all that, man. Like it was crazy. So from back then, fast forward to 2015, I was already through the design and animation and all that. Certain agency that I was working for. I love agencies. I always mention them. So I picked up animation as a hobby, right? I was just doing animation, learning animation at home. My wife's not here, but she knows the long hours that took, you know, because you're working during the day and at night you're learning, you know, be like, I have to do this. We're doing this. An agency that I was working for had landed a big client, right? And I was just a hobbyist at the time. So whilst they needed to deliver something to the client, I just pitched an idea of an animation, right? And I did that thing. And they went and presented. So the idea was my bosses, they were going to show that to clients and say, you know what, this is the idea that we have. We're going to look for someone professional to then properly work on it, you know. So they presented it, the client loved it. And then these guys started moving around Harare or Zim, you know, presenting this project. They're like, we want someone to do this, but much, much better, you know, that sort of thing. Because it was just an idea. So I didn't put much heart and work into it. But everywhere that these guys went, they were being asked, what, you looking for someone to do something better than this? Like, who did this? We want the number of the guy who actually did that. Wow. Imagine.
Yeah.
So, you know, so when they came, so when they came back, and one of my friends who went there to present told me that. I was like, wait, what? So there's no one out there who can do better than this? that's when I was like, okay, now we're really doing this.
Yeah.
And then
What year was that?
this was I think this was 2014, 2015 then.
Wow.
Then so then I started taking on side jobs, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, started doing animation. The demand started growing.
Growing, yeah.
And then in 2017, I left my job and started Brick Village.
Brick Village, yeah.
And
I think
I think for the sake of the guy who, yeah, that's an answer. I feel like I was super vague with my.
I just need to answer the next one.
Oh, sure, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so as for projects, it's we do a lot of fun projects at our studio. Like there's always something going on in our socials for YouTube and things like that. And some of the work, most of the work is just for fun, some crazy stuff, but we do have some work that we think gives back to the community. I would say, for example, there's a film that I initially started working on. I think it was around, when the machete gangs, when that started happening. Yeah, I started working on a short film regarding that. It was called, I just named it Project Gold, So as I was working on that, I sent it through to some of my connects. I'm like, look, you are the guys who are like in this sort of field. What would you add to this just to make it something that will reach out to the people, to raise awareness and maybe help with what's happening?
Yeah.
And then the next day, I got a call. They're like, there's some guy who needs to meet you. And then these guys came through and they're like, how did you know what we're working on?
What?
I don't know what you guys are working on. I'm like, okay, we want to take part in Project Gold. We'll give you the money, and then we'll make it a big initiative for their NGO. And it happened like that, like from just creating content that you wanted, and then someone says, we just want to put money into it, and then you add our donors and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have projects that we do like that. And then there's just cool projects that you want to work on.
Yeah.
Like we're in the middle of doing our servicing our regular clients. And then my business partner is not here. But I give him an idea, maybe go on business development, whatever. And then this other day he comes back, like we just finished a meeting. Then he's like, we have a client who wants to, they've sell chainsaws and things like that.
Wow.
So they built a robot that's made of the
chainsaws.
Not just chainsaws, like all of the
hardware stuff.
Yeah. So they want to bring that robot to life. I was like, you know what? Put everything else on hold for now. Let me hear what he has to say. We need to create these robots. So you take on the cool projects as well. Obviously, everyone wants to create cool stuff. So you take on the cool projects, and then you have you have to, as an artist, I think there's some work that you need to do that gives back. Be it for fun or be it social, economic work, whatever your niche is. So we have a balance on that. We take on the cool projects, take on meaningful projects, take on projects that maybe you just want to get paid
out of necessity. Awesome. Charlene, how are we looking on time? We can go on for hours.
It's time.
It's time.
Wrap it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eugene Ramirez Mapondo. I've been speaking to Pius Linyewa and Lionel Fowler of Brick Village. Thank you so much for your time. You can clap now.
Ooh, yeah. Come on, guys. You can, come on. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. My favorite time is here. You can go get burgers by the bar over there. They've got drinks. Go purchase some stuff. And we are about to begin our murder mystery. After you guys fill up on burgers and drinks, please come through for the murder mystery. After the murder mystery, we're gonna have a cosplay runway. So yeah, you're pretty excited for that. Pretty excited. But make some noise for that. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Right. So yeah, Murder Mystery is coming up right next. And then we are going to have our cosplay runway. Please, a special shout out to Telco, Broadband and Beyond for sponsoring this year's Converge and the sweet Wi-Fi. So please log in, live stream, tell your friends what's going on, fill them with FOMO. We shall meet in a bit. Bye. But do come back. And when you do, come sit at the front. Who wants a t-shirt? No one? No one? Who wants it? Okay, I'm just gonna give one. The dude with the bucket hat at the back. There you go. I'll see you guys after lunch for more t-shirts. I got one that don't want. I got one. Down. High. Side. By. High. By. Okay. Now, my vision holds for live, we always saw it in the face, but they back take it. Take that. Back take it. Unfortunately, there is a problem with the mystery. The prize for whoever wins the murder mystery challenge. And I'm talking cash money. We all love money. So money prize, people, money prize. Best cosplay is also gonna win some money. Oh, yeah. Get your tickets. I love the art. I love that. You say hydrate. Next Jan 2024 for like local, global, and beyond. You're having a good time? Are you sure? You come sit down. Hello. How are you? What's your name? Ano. Ano Tida, Anopa. Tida Ishe. Ishe, loved by God for sure. Why? So I told the teacher, thank you so much.
is about to begin. Those who signed up for the murder mystery, please can you make your way inside? Those who signed up for the murder mystery, can you go in? He is starting in 30 seconds. Further mystery is in 30 seconds. I hope you guys have your tickets and because something's about to go. What is up, y'all? What is up? What is up? If you have signed up for the murder mystery and you are patient, please see yourself up front. You almost carry it. Yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Huh.
So, yeah, come to the front, type in. Make your way. Okay. Finish your song. Yes. So, for you, I am go. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. If you are interested in watching the presentation, and I know you are, please make your way to the main hall. Can this? Participants, how are you? Greetings, participants, how are you? Okay. We're only after this. Suspects, please look at your notes. Okay, the name of the aliens. I hope you guys have seen your information because once we start, you shall introduce each other. And I should introduce yourself, English, Spanish, and your aliases. What? Okay. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Mr. Paul, please introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Paul. Hi guys, my name is Paul. I will be helping with this murder mystery. My entire job is instigation.
Yes, you heard him right. He is going to be instigating our 7 suspects. Originally, there were supposed to be 8, but oh, it is what it is. Don't worry about it. Now, it is time for the murder mystery. Who's ready? Come on, louder, let's go. Yes, energy. Yes, yes. This is going to be entertaining because they are going to be entertaining you. I need water. But before we continue, please, first person, introduce yourself. What is your role?
Hello there. I'm the gifts man.
You are the gifts man, or okay, yeah, he is the gifts man. He is part of the Shumba tribe.
Yeah.
He's responsible for the gifts that happened here. We shall inform you guys more about the story soon. Next.
Hello, I'm Miss Soko.
Yes, she is Miss Soko, right?
Soko.
She originally was part of this whole thing when this happened. More information will be there soon. Trust me, it's spicy. Next.
Yo, so like,
I am the lighty. Yes, she's the. Did I say she? He is the lighty, the mfana, the person who's responsible for the errands. Yes. Next.
I am the contractor.
Yes, our contractor, the person who came to negotiate for stuff. What stuff it is? Well, we shall inform you soon. Next.
I am the wandering artist. You see me, I'm flamboyant, everything is amazing. I am here to give you the Narini merch that everyone should get right behind you. All of that beautiful art made by the wandering artist, by the way.
Okay, I like the enthusiasm. Give it up for him. Give it up for the artist. Go, let's go.
I am innocent. Firstly.
Okay.
Innocent. Okay. Also, I am a humble, devoted servant. I could never, ever do all those horrible things. I'm Miss Soko's humble servant. A servant! She pays me well. That's it.
Well, we don't know about that, but okay. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm Amani.
You are Amani?
Yeah.
Ah, you heard that right? She is Amani. Good luck. We're gonna have so much fun right now. So let us start off with a brief introduction.
let us educate you guys on who died, who got the short end of the stick. English, anyways. Let us start off with our backstory. The Zinjani are known for their dark and shadowy methods, and they're infiltrating the Dani that we're at right now. What does that mean? It means our chief was wanted dead. Kaput. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which side you're on, he is still alive. But this is quite unfortunate because he is not the one who died. His second in command was the one who got it. And our 7 suspects over here have been accused of course, the usual deed, but there are reasons to say that they're not responsible for any of this. How? Well, we'd have to see. So let us start off with our first clue. I hope you can defend yourselves from this first clue because, oof. It's tough. Tough for y'all. Very tough for y'all. Anyways. The first clue that we found from you guys is that our contractor right here, hello, how are you? Yeah, I'm talking to him. How are you, Mr. Contractor? The contractor was found sneaking into the surveillance room prior to the death. What say you, Mr. Contractor?
I just see how the technology worked.
Oh, really? Yeah. Really? Even though when the death happened, the cameras were off.
I do think that's strange as well.
Oh,
I was also curious.
Oh, okay. What say you, artist? Do you not find that suspicious?
What were you doing in the security surveillance room?
Investigating the technology.
What about the technology?
I wanted to see how it worked.
Why? Aren't you a contractor? Aren't you supposed to know already how it works? You're the one who sets it up. So you're the best person to know how it works and erase information.
I came here to understand how it works so that I can sell it back in my hometown.
You don't sound like a student to me.
Yeah, people.
I'm not a student.
It turns out that the wandering artist does not believe him. I wonder what the fan has to say. The light is since he was also in the room with the contractor. What say you, Lighty?
They were working together.
What say you?
Defend yourself.
Nah, the contractor called me because he didn't know how to use the technology.
I'm sure about that. What do you think, housemaid?
Sass. Well, if someone has something to say.
Yes.
I don't know, man. That's P. Diddy energy right there.
Okay. Too soon, please. Too soon. But it is really suspicious that both of you were in the surveillance room prior to the death. I wonder how you're going to get out of that. And especially you, housemaid. Because it turns out that you had information that Amali over here delivered the snuff with the poison. Please, both of you, defend yourselves. Did our victim not inhale the snuff? Did they not die because of the snuff?
I repeat, I am a humble servant, a loyal, humble servant. If I am ordered to do something, who am I to question it? I don't do anything out of my own conviction. I'm a maid. She, on the other hand, is not a maid. So, good luck.
Do you really believe these crocodile tears?
Sounds like co-conspirator talk to me. What are you conspiring, especially you? Did anyone...
How long has the guy been dead?
I don't know. I just heard he died.
How long has he been dead?
He has been dead for over 5 minutes. You are the main suspect.
5 minutes. So we have not conducted an autopsy. So how can we prove cause of death?
It's very simple. It's very simple. Maybe it's...
How old was the man? How old was the man?
He was late 40s.
already puts him at risk of heart disease.
wait.
We don't know his family medical history.
Sorry.
For all we know, he could have had a stroke.
Amani, you seem to be really dodging questions here, because
You're dodging questions. Just want the truth.
Fine, you're dodging what?
Come and accuse me and say the man was poisoned when you do not have any evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that he was in fact poisoned, and not just that he was poisoned, that he was poisoned by the snap.
We have cause and effect. We know.
And you are putting that on the white. It's not Japanese,
Okay. We know that this vice chief died immediately after he got the snuff, after he took the snuff, and you were the only person who brought the snuff to him. So, ifto facto, you were not surveilled as you carried the snuff to him.
First of all,
stopped you from putting something extra in there.
First of all, I didn't take the snuff to the vice chief. I took it to our chief. Our chief has been taking snuff for the last 20 years.
So you managed to poison the chief?
It was snuff like my care. Have you ever taken cocaine? If we were to give you a line right now, how would you know that you wouldn't die? You've never done it before. Don't touch things that don't belong to you. He could have had an allergic reaction. How do we know it wasn't anaphylaxis? I demand an autopsy.
What autopsy is really there? He died immediately after he took the snuff.
And once again, how do we know that if he hadn't taken the snuff, he wouldn't have still died?
That's a fair point. That is a very fair point. However, you might just not be the only one who's responsible for his death. Because, and I repeat, because our gods saw our good old-fashioned gift bringer sneak into. Sorry, I got confused. I apologize. It gets hard to. But anyways, yes, gift giver. What say you? You were caught snooping around with the, where the snuff was being made. Yeah, you were snooping, including the gifts. What were you doing with Amani over there?
Well, here's the thing. As the gift giver, I have to know what people like. People don't just want shit. So, yes, it's creepy, but like, yours like it at the end. When I give you the proper gifts. When you open that box and you're like, yo, I have always wanted this toothbrush because my brand stinks. Yeah, it's because I've been, seeing that you keep brushing your teeth.
It's suspicious to me considering that we have 3 people who are handling the same snuff. Handmaid?
Anything to say?
Come on, handmaid, justify yourself.
It takes a village. You can't do these things on your own. You have to get it right. Okay. Also, I've got a million other things to do. Right? I have to delegate my tasks. Mfana Ndiano Tumwa, he was the one who acquired the snuff to begin with. He delegated. He brought it to me. I examined it. Having examined snuff for 25 years, it seemed fine to me. I then handed it to my faithful, loyal servant.
Well,
hey, she works under me. I'm a supervisor.
Oh, she's not sure. She's actually Miss Soko, right? Over there. Look at her, looking all lovely.
Since when?
Oh, since she had an affair with the victim.
Since what?
Yes. An affair, we've known about that. Scandalous. It was about that. Because of course she was part of it.
Shame.
Not only that, she was sending death threats to that man, to our victim. What say you?
We were in love and things just went wrong and it was all his fault.
Fatal attraction.
I didn't kill him. I just had to teach him a lesson. I didn't dare do that. Don't blame me.
Well, we all know hell hath no fury as a woman scorned. So if it was his fault, you had reason to kill him, did you not?
I did not kill him. I only threatened to somewhat harm him, but I did not go with.
It's not a world of empty threats. Many people down here follow up what they say. This is why you're a suspect. You have the most reason here. You were scorned. You felt pain. You saw him with the other girls that he was now with that were not you.
He wasn't even that good.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Let's respect the dead now.
Wow.
You said
Wow.
you took his medicine. What medicine was that?
Yes. What medicine was that?
Energy inducing stuff.
So that's how you poison him.
Energy.
You disguised it as snuff, didn't you not? No?
So
Of course you didn't, because
energy
it's still
inducing stuff.
on you.
Is she trying to say Viagra?
No, she's not.
Okay.
No, she's not. No,
Okay.
she's not. She's not.
Okay.
Getting away from this, since you're the one who created the snuff, with your maid over here, of course, that puts all three, or in fact, of you in suspicion. You're the maid.
Hey, am I now? Am I everyone's maid?
Yes, you are.
I repeat, I have no O levels. Even if I wanted to make poison, do you think I could?
Tragic, but
If I,
not an excuse for murder.
I'm saying I couldn't possibly have done it because what? How? When?
Question.
Why?
Question. Who do you think is the most intelligent in this lineup?
The chief?
Who's still here with us?
My bad.
Yeah, that's why he's still alive. He's smart.
The contractor? I
Oh,
feel like
the
it's very
contractor.
suspicious. Why was he in that room?
True.
My question is, we've established that I did not send that snuff to our vice chief. I sent it to our chief, meaning if somebody tampered with it to kill our chief, clearly his death would give them something to gain. That would not be our vice chief.
That would be very true, because, Mr. Contractor, were you not denied access by our chief to our chief tech officer? Were you not?
I was. Then kill someone over it.
Are you sure? You looked very bitter when you got out of there.
If that
It's
police-
suspicious how you got into the room prior to the death.
Excuse me, are we saying I killed him when you have an ex-lover, some affairs going on in his household? I've been here for like 3 hours. I don't know what goes on in this place.
3 hours is more than enough to commit murder.
Yes, you are a stranger here. You have no way to defend yourself.
So who you working with? If you don't have, the motives, you could be working with one of them. Because the cameras did go out.
We can't excuse you. You could have been a man on a mission. The mission to kill the vice chief.
I care about money and money only. Why would I kill the vice chief when he's the one who's going to pay me my money?
He fired you, did he?
It's no money. I could have still gone back in his good graces.